Chapter 4:14. Wang Daoyuan had almost forgotten about the water dragon prison spell. Among his family's water attribute spells, the only one he frequently used was the cloud mist escape. After all, his cultivation technique wasn't the art of overturn the sea, so the water dragon technique wasn't that powerful. Moreover, it was too iconic. Once he used the water dragon technique, anyone with a bit of knowledge would know that it was an inheritance of the Wang family. It wasn't good for concealing his identity. As for the water dragon prison that came with the water dragon technique, he had only used it a few times when he cleaned up Jade Spine Mountain. He didn't expect the 12th uncle's water dragon prison to be able to trap demonic beasts of the same rank. In the future, he could also put in more effort in the water dragon prison. To refine the vermilion bird fan, he needed 5 life plume feathers. Now, he only had 1 wood attribute life plume feather. In the future, he would have to capture 4 more demonic beasts. Demonic beasts' bodies weren't as tough as demonic beasts, but they were too agile. It was very difficult to kill them in one strike. To deal with demonic beasts, one either had to kill them instantly or use a reliable control spell. Killing them instantly might damage the life plume feather. The effective range of the demon subduing gourd was too small. The Kirin seal could smash the demonic beasts into meat paste. It was more reliable to use the water dragon prison. This time, he didn't argue with the 12th uncle. Demonic beasts with life plume feathers all have high-grade bloodlines. None of them are easy to deal with. To be able to use the water dragon prison to trap the emerald-feathered vermilion bird, his strength is already very strong among early-stage Zifu realm cultivators. The 12th uncle said proudly, "That goes without saying. When have I not been an expert among cultivators of the same rank?" After saying this, he took out a storage pouch and said, "The emerald-feathered vermilion bird's corpse and its demonic core are intact. I'll leave them to you. However, Dao Cheng wants you to give pointers to the juniors when you're refining tools and pills. You often travel outside, so the family can't rely on you. It's time to nurture them." This wasn't a problem. It wouldn't take much effort to give pointers to the juniors when refining tools and pills. When the juniors grew up, he wouldn't have to care about the family's trifles anymore. Wang Daoyuan said with a smile, "That's not a problem. I'll go out and refine the building foundation Dan. Let the second-rank alchemists in the Jade Spring Peak come and watch. I'll also teach them how to refine foundation establishment pills." Wang Daoyuan was a professional when it came to refining foundation establishment pills. Even the alchemists from the major forces did not refine as many pills as he did. The two of them left the secret treasury. Wang Daoyuan went directly to the alchemy room that was specially opened by the family. Currently, there were many cultivators in the clan, and there were also many clansmen who were engaged in the various arts of immortal cultivation. The alchemy, artifact, and talisman halls all had their own specialized offices on the Jade Spring Peak. The pill refining room was located on a piece of flat land halfway up the mountain. There was a red-scaled pine forest here, and the weapon refining workshop was also nearby. The alchemy room was very spacious. It took up an area of more than 1 mu and was divided into 5 alchemy rooms. At this time, there were more than a dozen alchemists busy in the alchemy room. When they saw Wang Daoyuan come in, the cultivators who were free immediately came forward to greet him. Wang Daoyuan instructed, "If you have any work to do, do it first. When you're all done, I'll start refining foundation establishment pills and give you some pointers while I'm at it. Especially Mingshan, you're a second-rank high-grade alchemist. You must have the ability to refine foundation establishment pills by yourself. This time, you must learn well. When I'm not in the family, I'll leave the refining of foundation establishment pills to you." Everyone agreed in unison. Half an hour later, all the alchemists had finished their work on hand. Wang Daoyuan entered a pill refining room. 6 second-rank alchemists followed him. As for first-rank alchemists, it was still too early for them to learn this. Under Wang Daoyuan's guidance, Wang Mingshan tried to refine the essence of the crouching dragon vine. The other 5 alchemists refined the essence of other auxiliary herbs. After they were done, Wang Daoyuan personally refined the essence of the monster pill and the emerald green sparrow's blood essence. The Wang family now had more than 1,000 mu of spiritual fields. Among them, there were 200 to 300 mu of second-rank spiritual fields. These alchemists usually had plenty of spiritual herbs to practice with. Their skills in refining the essence of spiritual herbs were excellent, and they didn't make any mistakes. Then, Wang Daoyuan used his divine sense to control the essence of the spiritual herbs they refined. While fusing the essence of the spiritual herbs, he also explained some things to pay attention to. These years, Wang Daoyuan learned refining from Lei Yanjinren. His divine sense had improved a lot, and his ability to control fire had improved a lot. While explaining to everyone, he refined pills at the same time. Multitasking, he still refined 9 foundation establishment pills. This shocked all the juniors, because during the process of refining spiritual herbs, there was bound to be a loss of medicinal properties. In addition, during the process of extracting the essence of spiritual herbs, it was impossible to do it perfectly. Refining 10 pills was simply impossible. Refining 9 pills in one furnace was already the limit. Moreover, it was an extremely rare situation. Everyone was proud that this feat had been accomplished with their participation. Wang Daoyuan left the pill refining room and returned to his cave residence. He continued to nurture his natal artifact, striving to refine the black tortoise shield to the point where it was connected to his mind as soon as possible. 2 months later, Yang Yong paid a visit to the Jade Spring Peak with 2 pieces of good news. The first piece of good news was that Elder Jean had passed away. 2 months ago, Elder Jean felt that his life was coming to an end, so he came to the Heaven/Mountain Range and killed a 3rd-grade demonic beast. After that, he asked the Vice Hall Master of the Netherworld Sex Pellet Hall to refine the Foundation Establishment pills. In the end, Elder Jean returned to the Jean clan with 5 Foundation Establishment pills and passed away a few days later. The leader of the foreign faction had passed away. Even in terms of Violet Palace realm cultivators, the foreign faction still held the advantage. But most of the foreign faction's elders were at least 400 years old. As for the elders of the Jean clan, most of them were at the prime of their lives under 300 years old. At most, it would take another 40 to 50 years for the Jean clan to hold the absolute advantage. The second piece of good news was that Yang Yong would be promoted to the Netherworld Sex Refining Hall as a manager. Being transferred to the sect was naturally a promotion. The empty position of Qingli City's guardian was also a lucrative one. But none of the elders in the Netherworld sect were willing to take up a post here. There was no other reason, but the Wang clan was too powerful. If they were to send someone else over, they would have to look at the Wang clan's face. Wang Daoyuan's identity was special, so no one dared to treat him as an elder without any duties. They would have to seek his opinion on anything. No one was willing to come to the Emerald City to be a wife who was bullied. In the end, the position of the Emerald City's guardian fell to Wang Jian, the 5th great-uncle. It had been 60 to 70 years since Wang Jian established the Violet Palace realm. Among the elders with no duties, this was one of the more junior ones. He had picked up a great opportunity to be the guardian of the Emerald City. For the Wang clan, these 2 matters could be considered as double happiness coming at the same time. After Yang Yong passed on the 2 pieces of news, Wang Jian cupped his hands together. Congratulations to Senior Yang for your promotion. Yang Yong sighed, don't tease me. I'm already over 470 years old, and I only have 20-odd years left to live. My cultivation has been stuck in the mid-stage Violet Palace realm, so what if I'm the manager of the refining hall? I won't live long. I'll leave the affairs of the Emerald City to you. Over at my Yang clan's side, Yulin has already reached peak foundation establishment. After accumulating for a few more years, he can attempt to establish the Violet Palace. After I leave the Emerald City, I'll have to trouble you to take care of me. I hope that before I close my eyes, I can see Yulin establishing the Violet Palace. Wang Daoyuan consoled, cousin Yulin's talent is pretty good. Establishing the Violet Palace isn't an issue. Old Ancestor Yang can rest assured on this point. When he establishes the Violet Palace, I'll definitely go and stand guard. What Yang Yong was afraid of was that Yang Yulan was unable to establish the Violet Palace before he passed away. Now that he had Wang Daoyuan's guarantee, he also set his mind at ease. Yang Yong nodded his head in relief, with Daoyuan's words, "I also don't have anything to worry about." Jian, you taking over the appointment of the Emerald City's guardian of the Emerald City will come down very soon. You make the preparations and complete the handover with me as soon as possible. Chapter 4:15. After speaking, Yang Yong left Jade Spring Peak. Wang Daoyuan and the other two escorted him out of the mountain. Afterwards, the three Zifu disciples of the Wang clan, in addition to the patriarch, began to discuss their future development plans. Patriarch Wang Daochang was the first to speak. Elder Jin has passed away, and the decline of the foreign branch is imminent. Fifth great-uncle has also become the guardian of Clear Glass City. Our Wang clan's situation is very good. Should we continue to expand our business, or should we postpone it for a while? The clan currently has sufficient resources, and uncle and brother-in-law can also forge flying boats. With the addition of the newly trained second-rank formation masters and artificers, we should be able to forge a 20-meter-long flying boat in a year or so. If we expand at full strength, in a few decades, our Wang clan's business will cover the entire Netherworld sect's territory. The 12th uncle pondered for a moment, then said, I feel that it's best to postpone it for a while. With the clan's current situation, relying on business to expand no longer has much meaning. Our annual income far exceeds the clan's needs. No matter how many spirit stones we have, we can't give them all to our clansmen at once. Without the support of a Jindan cultivator, no matter how large our business becomes, we'll only be a Zifu disciple clan. In addition, the more ostentatious we are, the easier it is for us to be suppressed. Wang Daoyuan continued, the native branch is also on guard against our Wang clan. It's not convenient for me to divulge the specifics. However, you must know that the sect master is not at ease with our Wang clan. This can be considered the attitude of the entire native branch. Right now, the situation within the Netherworld sect is very delicate. 60% of the Zifu disciples are of the native branch, 30% are of the foreign branch, and 10% are of the clan. 60% of the foundation establishment cultivators are of the clan, 30% are of the native branch, and 10% are of the foreign branch. In the next 100 years, the majority of the foreign branch's Zifu disciples will pass away. At that time, the clan will completely suppress the foreign branch. If this trend continues, 200 years later, the clan will have an advantage among the Zifu disciples and suppress the native branch. 400 or 500 years later, the clan will also have an advantage among the Jindan cultivators. If this continues, the native branch will be replaced by our clan. The native branch won't just stand by and watch us seize power step by step. The clan has operated in the Netherworld sect for too long and has a deep foundation. The sect is still counting on us to work hard, so they won't completely suppress us. They will only take care of those who jump the highest. In the future, I need to look for materials to refine my life-bound magic artifact, so I can't stay in the family for long. However, I won't go too far. I'll just stay within the Sky Beheading Mountain range. If there's anything, just send me a message. After handing over some matters, he left Jade Spring Peak and headed for Fallen Dragon Ridge. The range given by Lei Yen Jinren was too large. First, he released the soul-chasing bees to search around Fallen Dragon Ridge to see if there were any exotic flowers or rare beasts. After a few months of searching around Fallen Dragon Ridge, he still couldn't find anything. Zhou Wan sent another message, saying that she had found important information that Wang Daoyuan was interested in. She told Wang Daoyuan to bring what she wanted to the Northern Mountain branch. Previously, he had asked her to find an ancient cultivator's cave residence with a spiritual fire. Now that she had sent a message, it was most likely that she had accurate information. Wang Daoyuan felt the spiritual fire beckoning to him. He immediately changed into the God Restriction cloak and flew to Returning Goose Market on his sword. After entering the branch and returning to the Vice Hall Master's cave residence, he called over his doppelganger Mo Yu and Jackdaw. After putting on a show, he used shadow escape to head for Zhou Wan's cave residence. After entering the cave residence, he found that Zhou Wan wasn't in front of him. The door to her room was open. Wang Daoyuan asked, "Hall Master, what important information do you have for me? Will you come out, or should I enter your room?" Zhou Wan chuckled and said, "I found the location of True Monarch 100 Spirits cave residence. Do you dare to come in for a chat?" Upon hearing this, Wang Daoyuan was stunned. True Monarch 100 Spirits cave residence, which he had always dreamed of, had been discovered just like that. When she came to her senses, she entered Zhou Wan's room without saying a word. Inside was a garden that covered an area of more than 3 acres, planted with all kinds of exotic flowers and plants. There was even a spring in which some ornamental spiritual fish were raised, including a few clear river carps. Walking along a small path among the flowers, Zhou Wan was still dressed thriftily. She was lying on a recliner, holding a handful of pine nuts from the red scale pine. Wang Daoyuan immediately activated the exorcism pendant and suppressed his qi and blood. "Is this your room? Why does it look like an imperial garden to me? Also, can you change your clothes? Looking at you like this, my mind is full of legs. I don't have the heart to talk about anything else." Zhou Wan glanced at him with her phoenix eyes. Who was it that said, "If you don't have a woman in your heart, magic is naturally divine"? Haven't you always been called a gentleman? You can't control yourself anymore? Wang Daoyuan replied without blushing, "My heart is a gentleman. It's just that my eyes and brain have their own thoughts and don't listen to me." Zhou Wan disdainfully said, "A lecherous person dares to call himself a gentleman. His face is really thick. If you want to know where True Monarch 100 Spirits cave residence is, then take out what I want." This time, Wang Daoyuan was a bit embarrassed. Zhou Wan wanted the purple rhythm pill, but he didn't have it on hand. The newly planted purple rhythm dragon ginseng hadn't matured yet. It would take more than 10 years before it could be used to refine pills. He could only smile and say, "Hall Master, this little one doesn't have a ready-made purple rhythm pill. Can I use something else to compensate?" Zhou Wan turned around, lying on her side on the recliner, and asked with a faint smile, "Then let's see what you can take out to compensate me." Chapter 4:16. Wang Daoyuan used all his strength to activate the Imperial Magic Pendant. A cool feeling entered his body, but his heart was calm. Spiritual Master Lei Yan was indeed the top blacksmith in Beiyuan Shoshin. The effect of the Imperial Magic Pendant that he refined was really good. He looked at Zhou Wan and teased, "Don't you feel uncomfortable wearing such a thin shirt?" Zhou Wan was stunned. She immediately reacted and threw the pine nuts in her hand to him. Wang Daoyuan cast the water dragon technique, condensing a dozen or so small water dragons that were about a foot long, catching all the pine nuts. The water dragons combined into one that was more than 10 feet long. The 2 dragon claws obediently held the pine nuts and placed them back in Zhou Wan's hand. Zhou Wan's anger turned into joy. "If your old ancestor knew that you used his water dragon technique to pick up pine nuts for me, he would be so angry that he would come back to life." Wang Daoyuan smiled apologetically and said, "I did all this for the sake of the family's prosperity. Old ancestor can understand me. Furthermore, I'm still using the Imperial Magic Pendant that Master refined for me to suppress my blood and qi. This is called making the best use of everything. I can't take out the purple rhythm pill for now. The purple rhythm dragon pattern ginseng is still young and can only be used after 10 years. How about I use the dragonheart fruit and inky jade lotus seed as compensation? The dragonheart fruit can increase blood and inky jade lotus can increase divine sense. Adding them together, it's not much different from the purple rhythm pill." Although the dragonheart fruit and inky jade lotus were good and worth more than the purple rhythm pill, they didn't have the effect of increasing one's cultivation speed. Zhou Wan stared at him with narrowed eyes and asked, "Didn't you say that you don't have any more lotus seeds? From your tone, it seems that you still have a lot of inky jade lotus seeds. You should have found a place to grow inky jade lotus. Is it the secret realm at the Mirror Treasure Lake?" Wang Daoyuan quickly denied, "The secret realm there can't grow inky jade lotus. There are a lot of refined corpses there. Yu Lang controlled the refined corpses there and killed a lot of people. Although Yu Lang is dead, there are still rank 4 refined corpses in the secret realm. If the tier 4 refined corpse was alerted, those below the golden core stage would not be able to escape. Even I don't dare to go there, so you shouldn't take the risk. Are you worried about me? Of course, I'm counting on you to live off a woman. If something happens to you, who am I going to look for? Zhou Wan sat up from the reclining chair, looking like a money grubber, and said, this time, I spent a lot of effort to find out about True Lord Hundred Spirit's abode. Even intelligence records from more than 20,000 years ago had been dug up. The price had to be raised. 100 lotus seeds, 300 dragonheart fruits, 500 jars of spirit peach dew, and double the amount of dried meat and pine nuts. Hearing this, Wang Daoyuan's face fell. Hall Master, even if you squeeze me dry, I won't be able to take out so many things. Why don't you just sell me to you? I know alchemy, tools, and talisman arrays. I can kill demonic beasts and warm your bed. I should be worth the price you mentioned. Zhou Wan spat. Who wants you to warm their bed? How much can you take out? Wang Daoyuan smiled. 20 lotus seeds, 50 dragonheart fruits, 100 jars of spirit peach dew, and double the amount of dried meat and pine nuts. I see that your natal magic tool is not compatible with the Purple Mansion's anomaly. Do you want me to help you modify it? Zhou Wan was shocked. You can modify natal magic tools? Wang Daoyuan said proudly, I'm Lei Yan Jinren's disciple. What's so special about modifying my natal magic tool? Now, can you tell me where True Lord Hundred Spirits' abode is? I suddenly thought of Hundred Spirits Mountain. This name seems to be related to True Lord Hundred Spirits. It can't be there, right? Zhou Wan smiled. You're half right. Hundred Spirits Mountain and True Lord Hundred Spirits are indeed related. Back then, True Lord Hundred Spirits used to refine pills and tools there. That's how Hundred Spirits Mountain got its name. As for the abode, would you put it there? Wang Daoyuan shook his head. That place is located at the center of water transportation. It's okay to open up a business there, but it's too noisy to use it as a abode. Hall Master, where is True Lord Hundred Spirits' abode? Can you tell me? Zhou Wan stretched out a hand. If you want to buy information, give it to me. Wang Daoyuan sighed. How come I didn't know you were such a money grubber? I'm a gentleman, how can I go back on my word? After saying that, he took out a few storage bags and walked over to give them to her. Zhou Wan took the storage bags and checked them. After finding that there were no problems, she smiled. You've been smart all your life, but you're stupid now. Where did you catch that fat tiger of yours? And where did you get the hidden cloud tea that you always drink? Don't you know? Back then, True Lord Hundred Spirits liked to raise some strange spirit beasts. The Yunyi tiger was a rare variant, and the hidden cloud tea was also very strange. It was exactly what True Lord Hundred Spirits liked. Wang Daoyuan couldn't believe it. You're talking about Hundred Rivers Lake? The highest level spirit vein there is only third level low-grade spirit vein. Zhou Wan shook her head and sighed. You really don't understand. Back then, there were many Yuanying cultivators. Now, the highest level cultivators can reach is half-step Yuanying. When the upper limit of a cultivator's cultivation level is lowered, it's not strange for the spirit vein's grade to change. Back then, True Lord Hundred Spirits often moved around Hundred Rivers Lake. He also frequented a canyon a few hundred miles east of Hundred Rivers Lake. When True Lord Hundred Spirits was old, the Hall Master of the Blood Shadow Azure Branch was a golden core cultivator. He once discovered that there was a heavenly tribulation around Hundred Rivers Lake. At that time, dark clouds covered an area of 1,000 miles and contained a terrifying power. Even Yuanying's heavenly tribulation couldn't compare to it. However, the heavenly tribulation didn't fall in the end. Instead, it silently dissipated. After that, True Lord Hundred Spirits never appeared again. That hall master guessed that true Lord Hundred Spirits might have forcefully broken through to the soul formation realm when his lifespan was nearing its end. He should have been close to success, but the heavenly tribulation didn't fall in the end. If he failed to break through, he must have been seriously injured. True Lord Hundred Spirits couldn't have run elsewhere. In addition, his cave abode should be around Hundred Rivers Lake. It's basically certain that he died in the Hundred Rivers Lake. After hearing so much information, Wang Daoyuan fell into deep thought. He hadn't thought about Hundred Rivers Lake before, but now that he thought about it, it really was possible. In particular, Zhou Wan also mentioned the canyon a few hundred miles east of Hundred Rivers Lake. That was where Wang Daoyuan discovered the secret realm and obtained the fire of life. There were many corpses of high-level demon beasts in the secret realm, as well as the dead wood of high-level spirit plants. At that time, he found it strange. It was a secret realm and it wasn't easy to connect to the outside world. Even if he had spirit plant seeds and entered by chance, he would only get some commonly seen spirit plants in the surroundings. How could there be so many different types of spirit plants living in different environments? At that time, he casually looked at a few stage 1 spirit plants and found the snow country grass, a spirit medicine that grew near the extreme frost ice plains. Now that he thought about it, it was likely true Lord Hundred Spirits herb garden and spirit beast garden. The peach tree was the core of the secret realm. It should have been refined by true Lord Hundred Spirits. At that time, he guessed that the secret realm might have suffered a great calamity. All kinds of high-level spirit plants and spirit beasts died one after another. Even the peach tree was on the verge of death and condensed the fire of life to save itself. After the calamity, the spirit chi hadn't recovered and no more high-level spirit plants grew in the secret realm. The place with no spirit chi outside the secret realm was also caused by the peach tree absorbing a large amount of spirit chi in order to save itself. Now that he thought about it, the calamity should have been caused by true Lord Hundred Spirits' death, causing the core of the secret realm to be damaged. Just like the 5 elements mystic realm, the 5 elements perfected being's death caused the spirit chi of the mystic realm to decrease greatly. However, the 5 elements heaven suppression seal wasn't as weak as the peach tree. It only fell into a deep slumber and wasn't damaged. The 5 elements mystic realm didn't have much of a problem. At that moment, Wang Daoyuan even had thoughts of killing himself. Back then, he stabbed blindly with a broken sword and destroyed the core of the mystic realm that was struggling on the verge of death, causing the entire mystic realm to collapse. That was the herb garden of a Yuanian cultivator. Even if the high-level spirit plants died, their seeds could be preserved for a long time. There were definitely seeds left behind in the soil. There should be quite a number of stage 4 and stage 5 spirit herb seeds. If the mystic realm wasn't destroyed, with those spirit herb seeds, he wouldn't need to search for spirit herbs to cultivate to Yuaniing. Chapter 4:17. Zhou Wan looked at Wang Daoyuan's hopeless expression, somewhat puzzled. What's wrong with you? Knowing the location of the 100 Spirit Supreme's cave, why are you not the least bit happy, but instead like you've suffered a great loss? Wang Daoyuan shook his head. It's inevitable that there will be regrets in life, but this regret is too great. I'm going to the 100 Spirit Supreme's cave to make up for my regret. As for helping you modify your life source artifact, wait for me to come back. Zhou Wan did not understand what he meant, and could only remind him. The place where a Yuanian cultivator died, there will definitely be many dangers. You must be careful. I'll wait for you to come back, to help me modify my life source artifact. Wang Daoyuan laughed lightly. Don't worry, I have great fortune, no one can take away my little life. Saying this, he left Zhou Wan's cave. Leaving the wild goose market, he headed towards the southeast, finding a mountain stream that flowed towards the south. He used the mist escape, following the stream downstream. Not long after, he entered the clear glass river. He did not return to the Jade Spring Peak, but used the mist escape, heading towards the 100 Rivers Lake. Using the mist escape, in the water, for a long time, he could maintain a speed of 2,000 miles per hour. At the same time, he also used the aura concealment technique, concealing his tracks. Cultivators whose divine sense was not much stronger than his would not be able to discover him. In the north of the clear glass county, there was no such person. 4 hours later, he arrived at the Hundred Rivers Lake. There were many islands in the Hundred Rivers Lake. Apart from the Green Willow Island that he was familiar with, there was also the Flood Dragon Island, Black Turtle Island, Deer Island, and the most mysterious Hidden Cloud Island. Apart from the Hidden Cloud Island, on the other islands, there were more or less cultivators residing there. The Green Willow Island was the most lively place in the entire Hundred Rivers Lake. Since Wang Daoyuan left the Green Willow Island when he was at the peak of the Qi disciple stage, more than 100 years had passed. In these years, the number of wandering cultivators around the Hundred Rivers Lake increased day by day. When he left, there were already more than 50,000 people. It was hard to say how many people there were now, but the number of spirit boats coming and going on the lake was 2 to 3 times the number in the past. According to this ratio, the number of rogue cultivators in the entire Hundred Rivers Lake should be more than 100,000. The Ninth Prince's bloodline had gathered so many cultivators and secretly developed for more than 100 years. It was hard to say how much strength they had now. However, he was here to look for true monarch Hundred Spirits abode, not to cause trouble for Green Willow Province. The 3 sects did not have any internal strife. Even if Lu Liuzhou had hidden their strength, they did not dare to make a move for now. If he wanted to find the cave abode of true Lord Hundred Spirits, he would not be able to find it in the Jiao Dragon Island or any of the other islands. This was because these islands had long become a place for rogue cultivators to hunt and kill demonic beasts. The number of rogue cultivators in the Hundred Rivers Lake had skyrocketed. Before he left, many cave abodes had been opened up on these islands. Even the demonic beasts had been slaughtered. There was nothing out of the ordinary on these islands. However, the willow tree on the Green Willow Island was definitely suspicious. It had grown on a rank 3 spirit vein for who knew how many years. Such a huge tree that covered the sky was actually an unranked spirit plant. The Ninth Prince's bloodline was hidden in the Hundred Rivers Lake area, so it was most likely hidden in the Green Willow Island. The Ninth Prince himself was a golden core stage cultivator. If he fell into his hands, even if he was spared for the sake of the old ancestor, he would still have to work like a horse in the future. Wang Daoyuan naturally would not court death, so he stayed far away from the Green Willow Island. The Hidden Cloud Island was the most mysterious. The mist that could conceal one's spiritual sense was quite extraordinary. However, the Hidden Cloud tea could only survive in the Hidden Cloud Island. Only with the life spirit fire in the space of the spirit pearl could one plant survive. The Yun-Yi tiger was an extremely rare spirit beast. The beast tamers of the Myriad Spirits sect had not been able to obtain it, but he had encountered it in the Hidden Cloud Island. The Hidden Cloud Island had these 3 strange occurrences. The Hundred Spirits abode was most likely in the Hidden Cloud Island. He did not dare to show himself. As soon as he entered the Hundred Rivers Lake, he went straight to the Hidden Cloud Island. Along the way, he encountered many aquatic monster beasts, but they were too slow. The highest grade was only 2nd order, which did not affect Wang Daoyuan. He soon arrived at the northwest corner of the Hidden Cloud Island. The last time he came here, he had followed Jingkong to pick the Hidden Cloud tea. Now, more than 100 years had passed, but the Hidden Cloud Island did not seem to have changed. Wang Daoyuan did not go ashore. Instead, he continued to walk along the river, going deeper into the Hidden Cloud Island. The mist here still had a strong spiritual sense shielding effect. Wang Daoyuan's spiritual sense could detect things more than 30 miles away. Here, he could only detect about 100 feet. The Hidden Cloud Island only had 2nd order high-grade spirit veins, so it was unlikely for 3rd order monster beasts to lurk here. As for 2nd order monster beasts, they did not have the ability to sneak attack Wang Daoyuan. Using his spiritual sense to explore the surroundings, he followed the stream all the way to the depths of the Hidden Cloud Island. For Wang Daoyuan, it was too small. The deepest part was only a few dozen miles away from the edge. He only took a few dozen breaths to reach the source of the stream, which was also the center of the Hidden Cloud Island, the Hidden Cloud Peak. After going ashore, he immediately took out a forbidden god cloak and put it on to avoid being targeted by the monster beasts here. Although second-order monster beasts were not strong, being entangled by them was still a big problem. The hidden cloud peak was only 4,000 feet high, which was nothing for a Foundation establishment cultivator. Just to be on the safe side, he released the soul-chasing bees to explore the way. Unfortunately, after the soul-chasing bees were released, they did not listen to Wang Daoyuan's orders and did not fly far away. It seemed that their ability to search for spiritual objects was also limited by the mist. In desperation, he could only put away the soul-chasing bees and slowly find the location of the immortal cave. After searching for half a cup of tea's time, a fiery red sword light attacked him. Wang Daoyuan's mind moved, and the white tiger blade automatically flew out, blocking the sword light's attack. His heart sank. There was a cultivator guarding here, and it was a Zifu realm cultivator. Could it be that the matter of true monarch 100 spirits immortal cave had been leaked? He angrily shouted, "Which scoundrel dares to fight me head-on?" An old voice replied, "Little friend Wang's talent is extraordinary. In a head-on battle, this old man is not a match for him. This old man has no intention of making things difficult for Daoyu. I am only following orders to guard this place. As long as little friend Wang is willing to leave, this old man will not stop him." This person recognized him, but he could not figure out who this person was. Although he could not find the other party with his divine sense, he was not willing to be beaten passively. He used the spirit concealment technique and wrapped the forbidden god cloak tightly around his body. Then, he used the cloud mist escape to escape in the direction of the sword light. After escaping for several li, he still could not find the other party's trace. The old voice sounded again, "Little friend Wang is indeed very skilled. You can actually hide from this old man's detection. Unfortunately, this old man has already sent a message to ask for help. In half a cup of tea's time, help will arrive. This old man can't take down Daoyu, but once help arrives, that may not be the case." Although he could not use his divine sense to lock onto the opponent, he could distinguish the approximate location by listening to the sound. Before the old man's voice fell, Wang Daoyuan had already summoned the white tiger blade and used the myriad sword art in the direction of the sound. He also quickly used the cloud mist escape to escape in the direction of the sound. As he got closer, his divine sense found a trace of fire spiritual energy fluctuations. He immediately controlled dozens of long sword phantoms to attack the place where the fire spiritual energy fluctuations came from. That person was forced into a corner and no longer dodged. A fierce fire spiritual energy fluctuation came. The old man said sternly, "Since little friend Wang is determined to be my enemy, then this old man will not be polite." A fire phoenix phantom more than 50 meters long appeared. The phoenix flapped its wings and shattered all the long sword phantoms. Wang Daoyuan saw this person's appearance clearly. "Senior Shizhenbang, why aren't you playing dead?" After saying that, the white tiger blade in his hand condensed a giant sword phantom more than 300 meters long. Chapter 418. Wang Daoyuan's giant sword slashed down, and Shizhenbang's phoenix phantom came up to meet it. His phoenix phantom was about the same as Zhou Wan's. Of course, it was far inferior when compared to the crimson one that was condensed from the resonance of Zhou Wan's violet palace. Even so, it could be seen that Shizhenbang was far stronger than ordinary cultivators of the same level. The phoenix phantom didn't have much spiritual energy left after being slashed into two. Shizhenbang was very cautious. He didn't choose to take the sword's remaining energy head-on. Instead, he turned into a shooting star and fled a mile away. This was none other than the flying star escape he had used to fight Zhou Qi for the Foundation establishment pill. Wang Daoyuan chased after him again, and Shizhenbang also used the flying star escape technique to escape. He even tried to persuade Wang Daoyuan, "Little friend Wang is a genius, so why are you willing to serve an evil sect like the Netherworld sect? Why don't you support the royal family and help His Majesty rebuild the world? When His Majesty clears the world, he might even be crowned as king." Wang Daoyuan smiled. "What? Even the Shi family recognizes the long-legged prince as emperor? Although the ninth prince lost in the end, it wasn't his fault. The long-legged prince fled without a fight, and the Shi family is willing to recognize that trash as their master? As Wang Daoyuan spoke, his hands did not stop either. He continuously slashed out sword lights, attacking Shi Zhenbang. After all, Shi Zhenbang was a veteran Violet Palace disciple and had the foundation of a golden core family. He wasn't weak, and he easily resolved Wang Daoyuan's sword. He replied with ease, "Little friend Wang, since you have no intention of abandoning the dark for the light, there's no need to say anything more." Long-legged. His Majesty is the late Emperor's sixth son, and it's natural for him to inherit the throne. Marquis Yuchuan was also a subject of the Zhao family and saved His Majesty's life. His Majesty also remembers his contributions and wants to reward the Wang family in the future. Marquis Yuchuan was loyal to the Zhao family all his life, and he died in the hands of a rebel. Little friend has the potential to reach the Golden Core realm, so why don't you think of taking revenge for your ancestor? If Marquis Yuchuan's spirit is in the heavens, I'm afraid he will also blame his little friend. Wang Daoyuan thought to himself, isn't this nonsense? If I had the ability to take revenge, would I need you to tell me? Putting aside the vengeance of my ancestors, just the fact that Luo Jiuyo tricked me with the 5 elements devil subduing seal combination secret technique is enough for me to kill him. He was forced to make a living in the Netherworld sect. He said mockingly, what a nice way to put it. You should know where the 3 major sects are. Why don't you go there? You've been holed up in Green Willow Province for hundreds of years, and you still have the nerve to criticize me? Shi Zhenbang was rendered speechless by his words and could only fight in silence. The Shi family had passed down many powerful spells. The moves of the Guiyuan sword sect were not of much use to him. Although his spells were mainly of the fire attribute and could be countered by the divine flames burning the heavens technique, he was still able to control them. However, his helpers could arrive at any moment, so there was no time to waste with him. Wang Daoyuan directly used the Earth Divine Lightning to attack Shi Zhenbang. He had already formally taken Adept Thunderflame as his master. Learning the Earth Divine Lightning was no big deal. He had already used it when sparring with Kuei Jian at the Treasured Cauldron Mountain. There was no need to hide it. Although he had only trained the Earth Divine Lightning to the 4th level, he was still able to heavily injure Shi Zhenbang. In particular, the Earth Divine Lightning was extremely fast. It would not be easy to dodge. Seeing him use the Earth Divine Lightning, Shi Zhenbang no longer used the Meteor Evasion to dodge. After all, a Zifu disciple's body was still under a great deal of pressure when flying through the air. If Wang Daoyuan used the Earth Divine Lightning 3 times per breath, how many times could he dodge? He took out a round shield that was red and yellow in color. Infusing it with his spiritual energy, an illusory shield that was more than 10 meters in diameter appeared on the shield. When the Earth Divine Lightning struck, the illusory shield only trembled slightly. This was a high-grade level 3 magic artifact. A Midzifu disciple using a high-grade level 3 magic artifact would have no problem unleashing its full power. However, the consumption of spiritual energy would be a bit high. To break the illusory shield, it would take at least 20 Earth Divine Lightning strikes. Moreover, Shi Zhenbang could continuously infuse spiritual energy into the shield to replenish it. Even if he used the Golden Rock Wrestling Dragon technique and used all his feather blades, he might be able to break the shield, but he would not be able to heavily injure Shi Zhenbang. If he had other high-grade level 3 magic artifacts, Wang Daoyuan would be wasting his energy. Unless he used the 5 elements Devil Smiting Seal and fused it with the White Tiger Blade and the Black Tortoise Shield, he would be able to kill him in one move. Otherwise, he would have to fight a battle of attrition. If this continued, Wang Daoyuan would definitely win. However, his reinforcements could arrive at any time. They might have already arrived and were lying in ambush. Wang Daoyuan did not dare to use up all his spiritual energy to kill him in an instant. Besides, Wang Daoyuan still wanted to maintain a relationship with the 9th prince's bloodline and leave a way out for his family. If he killed Shi Zhenbang, the relationship between the Wang clan and the 9th prince's bloodline would be completely severed. Wang Daoyuan probed, Senior Shi, I only wanted to see if there was any level 3 cloud tea here. I didn't mean to offend you. Please do me a favor and let me pick some cloud tea before leaving. Shi Zhenbang smiled. Little friend Wang's request is not excessive, but every blade of grass and every tree here belongs to His Majesty. If little friend Wang is willing to turn over a new leaf, not to mention a level 3 cloud tea, even the entire hidden cloud continent would not be out of the question for Daoyu. Wang Daoyuan had a bad feeling. The people of the Green Willow continent might already know about the 100-spirit true monarch. The Green Willow continent had cooperated with the Wang clan for many years and wanted to rope them in. If they did not know about the 100-spirit true monarch, Shi Zhenbang would not have refused Wang Daoyuan's request to pick some tea leaves. Thinking of this, Wang Daoyuan did not dare to stay any longer. The 100-spirit true monarch was a peak Yuanian cultivator who had almost reached the spirit-severing stage. Moreover, he liked to collect spiritual plants and spiritual beasts. There might be many high-grade spiritual herbs in his cave residence. For the people of the Green Willow continent who wanted to cause trouble, this was the capital to cause trouble. If they knew about the 100-spirit true monarch, they would definitely have many arrangements here. If he continued to stay here, his life might be in danger. Wang Daoyuan knew that the 100-spirit true monarch's herb garden was gone, but the others did not. In this way, there was no hope of secretly investigating the 100-spirit true monarch's cave residence. He did not have the strength to force his way in, and there might be a golden core cultivator hidden in the Green Willow continent. If he caused trouble and provoked them, he would not be able to protect his life. At this time, he could only escape and think of a countermeasure later. Wang Daoyuan smiled. Since that's the case, I won't stay any longer. When my cultivation improves, I'll come visit again. With that, he flew into the sky on his sword and headed west. At this time, there was a flying boat about 10 miles northwest of the Green Willow continent. Wang Daoyuan scanned with his spiritual sense and found that there were 5 Violet Palace Realm cultivators on the boat. To be able to send out 5 Violet Palace Realm cultivators, the 9th Prince's faction was not weak. The flying boat was also very fast, flying over 4,000 miles in 2 hours. Wang Daoyuan could not escape on his sword, so he could only use the flaming wind kite to escape. He urged the kite to fly with all his strength, and its speed quickly reached 6,000 miles in 2 hours. Seeing that it could not catch up to him, the flying boat turned around and flew above the hidden cloud continent. A person came down from the flying boat and landed at the place where Wang Daoyuan and Shi Zhenbang had fought. The person cupped his hands toward Shi Zhenbang and said, "Big brother, how strong is this Wang clan kid? Did he find anything?" Shi Zhenbang sighed. The younger generation will surpass us in time. I didn't expect that a Qi refinement junior 100 years ago would have the ability to kill me now. If you didn't come in time, I would have been defeated. This kid probably already knows about the 100-spirit true monarch. Otherwise, he wouldn't have come here to look for the hidden cloud tea. Right, did you find anything? Did you find any clues in the ancient books? The person shook his head. Nothing. The ancient books only record that the 100-spirit true monarch often moved around the 100-river lake in his later years. If the 100-spirit true monarch's cave residence is here, then it's most likely the hidden cloud continent. We've already searched everywhere else, but we didn't find anything. Did you find any clues here? Shi Zhenbang shook his head. Nothing. Chapter 419. After Wang Daoyuan left the 100-river lake to the west, he put away the firestorm kite and hid himself. From the south of Clear Glass City, he took a big detour and returned to Jade Spring Peak. He stayed in his cave abode to think of a solution. It wasn't easy to find the approximate location of True Lord 100 Spirit's cave abode, but it was ruined by the people of Oasis. In order to deal with him, they sent 6 Zifu realm cultivators. In addition, there might be a golden core cultivator. With Wang Daoyuan's ability and the Wang family's foundation, he couldn't compete with them. But when he saw that the thing he urgently needed was about to be taken by someone else, he felt indignant. Since he couldn't deal with Oasis, he would find someone who could. For example, the 3 great sects could deal with Oasis. Oasis had been pretending to be obedient for so many years because they were afraid that the three great sects would pay too much attention to them. As long as he spread the news and led the three great sects in, the people of Oasis wouldn't dare to stop them. If the three great sects found out that Oasis had sent 6 Zifu realm cultivators to deal with Wang Daoyuan, there might be a golden core cultivator hiding in the dark. They had to flatten Oasis even if they had to sacrifice a few golden core cultivators. Otherwise, if the Zhao family rose from the ashes, they would all die. However, it wouldn't be good for the Wang family if this matter was exposed to the three great sections. After the three great sects wiped out the remaining forces of the Zhao family, there would be internal strife soon. The Wang family would also be affected. Therefore, it was better to leave the remaining forces of the Zhao family alive and let the three great sects have some scruples. Since he decided to fish in troubled waters, as the weakest side, he would definitely want the waters to be as muddy as possible. Only bringing in the three great sects would make the waters murky enough. It was best to spread the news further and make it more sensational, involving the people of the four great factions. To spread this news, he couldn't rely on himself. He would have to rely on a woman again. After thinking of a countermeasure, Wang Daoyuan took a detour from Fallen Dragon Ridge and returned to Guiyan City, Bloodshadow's underground branch. Then, he stealthily went to Zhou Wan's cave abode. Zhou Wan was pleasantly surprised to see him come back after only a little more than a day. She asked, "Did you already succeed and come back to modify my magic tool?" "It's only been a little more than a day." "Is it so easy to explore the abode of a peak ancient cultivator in Yuanying?" Wang Daoyuan laughed and said, "One day apart feels like 3 autumns. We haven't seen each other for 3 years. Didn't I miss the hall master? That's why I came back." Zhou Wan glanced at him. "You've been gone for more than 10 years. According to your calculations, we haven't seen each other for thousands of years. You didn't say anything about coming back to see me. Now, do you have something difficult to ask of me? Just tell me. As long as the price is right, I can help." Wang Daoyuan sighed and replied, "Hall Master, I am your most loyal subordinate. When I went to the 100 Rivers Lake to investigate the hidden cloud continent, I was ganged up on by 6 Zifu disciples. I almost lost my chance to see the Hall Master." After saying this, he wiped his eyes. Unfortunately, there were no tears. Zhou Wan's face was full of disdain. "What sort of outrageous thing did you do to anger 6 Zifu disciples at once? Look at how lively you are. It doesn't seem like you almost didn't make it back. Tell me, how do you want to harm the cultivators of the Green Willow continent?" Wang Daoyuan laughed and said, "Hall Master is truly exceptionally intelligent. You've even seen through this. However, I really didn't start this. I was just casually looking around the hidden cloud continent when Zifu disciples came to make trouble for me. They probably already know about the 100 Spirits Immortals abode, but they haven't found the entrance yet. That's why they sent people to guard the hidden cloud continent. There should be quite a few Zifu disciples hidden in the Green Willow continent. It's very possible that there are Jindan cultivators as well. How can I fight them all by myself? That's why I wanted to spread the news and lure other powers in. I'll fish in troubled waters. I'm weak, so the more powers I attract, the better. It'll be best if I can drag the 4 powers into this mess. I don't have the ability to spread so much news in such a short period of time. Hall Master, don't you have specialized cultivators under you who specialize in this kind of work? I want to ask for your help." Zhou Wan pondered for a while before saying, "It's not hard to spread the news. It's also not hard to make the 4 powers involved. The Divine Weapon Pavilion has shops in all the major cities. Just spread the news and they'll know. The Wind Snow Deity Palace and Archaic Mysteries sect are also not weak. I'll let people spread the news in the western cities. These 2 sects will soon receive the news. Only the people from the Tai Sword sect don't pay much attention to the situation here. They might find out later. However, you have to think carefully. The abode of a peak Yuanying cultivator, even the 4 top powers value it greatly. There might be Jindan cultivators involved. At that time, it'll be difficult for you to snatch the spiritual fire. Maybe you'll even lose your life. 20,000 years have already passed. The scarlet yang primordial fire might have already been extinguished. How about I help you find the abodes of other ancient cultivators with spiritual fires for free? You'd better not have any ideas about the scarlet yang primordial fire. Wang Daoyuan laughed. Where can I find a spiritual fire without danger? There will be many demonic beasts near a natural spiritual fire. I've always been afraid of death. I won't risk my life for a spiritual fire. If it's really impossible, I won't make a move. Master knows that I'm looking for the abode of the 100 spirits true Lord. After he gets the news, he'll definitely come. With him here, those Jindan cultivators will have some misgivings. They won't be so shameless as to attack a Zifu realm cultivator like me. Zhou Wan nodded and said, with Daoist Lei Yan here, your little life can be saved. Since you want to take this risk, I'll help you for free. You must come back alive. Wang Daoyuan replied with a smile, don't worry, Hall Master. My flood of fortune is not a joke. That year, that little fortune teller Xian Zhouxiao said that my luck is comparable to a half-step yuanying. I won't die so easily. That little fortune teller has some ability. That year, he said that I would have a romantic calamity. In the end, I almost died in your hands before I could open my Zifu. I'll go wait for the news. Goodbye. He left the returning goose market and returned to the Jade Spring Peak. He quietly waited for the news to spread. 10 days later, the clan's Dark Hall received news in the Clear Glass Market. There was a yuanying cultivator abode in the 100 Rivers Lake's hidden cloud continent. Moreover, this yuanying was the famous 100 Spirits true lord from 20,000 years ago. His abode might have 5th-tier spiritual medicines, as well as 5th-tier alchemy and equipment forging inheritances. This news spread with great detail. Even the records of ancient cultivators from 20,000 years ago were pulled out. This news should have been spread by Zhou Wan's men. Afterwards, this news changed its meaning in the loose cultivators' mouths. The more it spread, the more bizarre it became. It was also said that in 100 Spirits true lord's abode, there was a yuanying breakthrough or even a deity transformation breakthrough. That year, before 100 Spirits true lord passed away, the matter of him attracting tribulation clouds was also revealed. Wang Daoyuan's Uni tiger was also brought out by some loose cultivators. In the Clear Glass Market, no one dared to gossip about Wang Daoyuan. Now, 5th great uncle had already taken over as the guardian of the Clear Glass Market. Since such news came out of the Clear Glass Market, he naturally had to report it to the Netherworld sect. Very quickly, the Netherworld sect sent Elder Zhou to investigate. In the end, they found that the news first came from the Xianin market to the north of the Huiyan mountain. It was said that a Foundation establishment loose cultivator accidentally found the travel notes of ancient cultivators. It recorded that before 100 Spirits true lord passed away, he attracted a thundercloud with a diameter of 1,000 miles. Afterwards, the news spread widely in the northern part of the mountain. The news in the Clear Glass Market also came from the returning goose market. It was only because the Clear Glass Market was close to the location of the incident that the news spread more fiercely. Elder Zhou specifically asked Wang Daoyuan about the Uni tiger. Wang Daoyuan directly admitted that he had obtained it in the hidden cloud continent when he was traveling in his early years. No one could control cultivators when they traveled around, not to mention that the heavenly/mountain range was an ownerless land. Chapter 420. The Netherworld sect only had a few thousand years of history and had never produced a yuanying cultivator before. Therefore, a power like the Netherworld sect valued the inheritance of the 100 Spirits true lord even more. After Zhou Qi investigated and obtained evidence from Wang Daoyuan, he was even more convinced of this rumor. He reported his judgment to Luo Jiuyo, who sent Sect Master Gu and several Zifu realm cultivators to the Clear Glass Market to confirm the authenticity of the rumor. Sect Master Gu was a golden core seedling nurtured by the Netherworld sect. Their grand elder, the Nethersea Daoist, was nearing the end of his lifespan and the sect needed to nurture another golden core. After he formed his golden core, it was very likely that he would be promoted to vice sect master and become a candidate for the next sect master. At this time, some of the grand elders in the sect had already begun to focus on nurturing him. Since sect master Gu had come personally, the 3 Zifu realm cultivators of the Wang clan naturally had to go to the clear glass market to welcome him. When the group of Zifu realm cultivators arrived at the meeting hall of the Netherworld sect, Sect Master Gu was very curious and asked Wang Daoyuan, "I heard from Zhou Qi that your Uni tiger was found in the Hidden Cloud continent. That means you have some understanding of the Hidden Cloud continent. Tell us about the situation there." Wang Daoyuan replied, "When I was still at the Qi condensation stage, I traveled around the 100 Rivers Lake. I met a rogue cultivator who claimed that he knew of the hidden cloud tea growing in a secluded area at the edge of the Hidden Cloud continent and invited me to pick it together. I also wanted to earn some spirit stones, so I let him go. When I arrived at the Hidden Cloud continent, I did indeed find the hidden cloud tea in a cave. But that person wanted to kill me for the treasure and was killed by me. During the battle, I broke a stone wall. Behind the wall was the lair of a Uni tiger. The mother tiger was severely injured and on the verge of death, so I took in the cub. In the midst of the Hidden Cloud continent, the spiritual sense of a Qi condensation cultivator can only reach up to 30 meters away. When I entered the Hidden Cloud continent, I went to the secluded area to pick the hidden cloud tea. I didn't dare to go to the depths. The cave where he picked the hidden cloud tea was impossible to hide. Once a large number of Zifu realm cultivators entered the island, they would be quickly discovered. Rather than explaining it later, it was better to say it now. Hall Master Gu continued to ask, "Do you think there might be 100 spirits immortals abode there?" Wang Daoyuan replied, "I'm not sure about that. Although the Hidden Cloud continent is special, its spirit veins are not of a high grade." Palace Master Gu smiled and said, 20,000 years have passed, and the grade of the spirit veins will also change. Why don't you take a few Violet Palace elders with you and go investigate?" Wang Daoyuan replied, "The island is shrouded in clouds and mist, which will affect the range of the divine sense. If there is a third-rank demonic beast hidden within, even a Violet Mansion elder would be unable to avoid death. Moreover, true Monarch 100 Spirits abode was not easy to find. Otherwise, it would not have remained undiscovered for 20,000 years. It was difficult to find anything in the fog. It was said that every year on the 9th day of the 9th month, the clouds on the Hidden Cloud continent would dissipate. The 9th day of the 9th month was different from other days. Perhaps it had something to do with the cave. At that time, the success rate will be higher and the danger will be lower. The other powers had not yet arrived, and he had not yet achieved his goal of fishing in troubled waters. Naturally, he would delay as long as he could. Palace Master Gu thought for a moment and said, "What you say makes sense. If the cave was so easy to find, it would not have remained until now. Risking the loss of manpower to fight for a slim hope was indeed not worth it. It is already the beginning of the 8th month. Waiting for another month won't hurt." A few days later, the Myriad Spirit Sect and the Crescent Sun Palace requested to pass through Clearglass County to investigate the Hidden Cloud continent. The Underworld Sect naturally did not agree. This was inviting a wolf into one's house. This matter spread more and more, and even the nearby Wei and Song kingdoms requested to pass through. After another 10 days, Adept Thunderflame led 2 Zifu disciples to the Clearglass Market. One of the 2 Violet Palace disciples was Wang Daoyin. The other was a Violet Palace disciple that Wang Daoyuan did not recognize. The 4 major powers did not need the permission of the local powers to enter the territories of other countries. Now that Adept Thunderflame had arrived, Palace Master Gu could only go forward and greet him, not daring to have any objections. The 4 of them greeted Wang Daoyuan, then went to the Drunken Immortal Inn of the Wang clan. A day later, Adept Nethersea of the Underworld sect arrived at Clearglass City as well. With foreign Jindan cultivators arriving, the Underworld sect naturally had to send cultivators of the same level to receive them. 2 days later, the Archaic sect and the Snowwind Deity Palace arrived as well. The Archaic sect sent Adept Skyser, who brought Xian Jiuxiao and another Violet Palace disciple. The Snowwind Deity Palace sent Adept Ning Shuang, who who brought 3 Violet Palace disciples. Due to Zhao Qingshuang's special status, she did not come. Seeing that Adept Thunderflame was staying at the Drunken Immortal Inn, they followed. 2 days later, the Tai Sword sect arrived. It was Adept Dark Thunder, who brought Kuei Jian and another Violet Palace disciple. As the saying went, birds of a feather flocked together. The cultivators of the other 3 major powers all stayed at the Drunken Immortal Inn. The Tai Sword sect naturally stayed with the other 3 major powers as well. A small Drunken Immortal Inn of the Wang clan had gathered the Golden Core cultivators of the 4 major powers of Beiyuan Shoshin. The imperial family of Zhou and the imperial family of Qin quickly sent people over as well. Zhou and Qin were first-rate countries second only to the 4 major powers, so the Underworld sect naturally did not dare to stop them. At this time, the Myriad Spirits sect and the Cruel Sun Palace were anxious. If this continued, the meat would be divided and they would not even be able to get the soup. The Myriad Spirits sect directly said that if they did not allow them to enter, they would let all the other powers in. The Underworld sect did not dare to stop them. If the Myriad Spirits sect and the Cruel Sun Palace really let the other powers in, then the Underworld sect would have to face dozens of Golden Core powers alone. In the end, the Underworld sect compromised and allowed the 2 sects to send 1 Golden Core cultivator and 2 Violet Palace disciple to enter. In exchange, the 2 sects had to strictly guard the border and not let the other powers in. In the blink of an eye, it was the 8th day of the 9th month. Tomorrow was the best time to enter the Hidden Cloud continent. The various powers were also discussing the allocation of quotas. Naturally, Golden Core cultivators could not casually enter. The Hidden Cloud continent was also the periphery of the Heaven/Mountain range. If they alarmed the 4th-ranked demonic beasts, it might lead to a beast tide. Furthermore, Golden Core cultivators were also afraid of death. No one wanted to risk their lives. After discussing, they decided that each power would only be allowed 2 cultivators to enter. As the host, the Underworld sect could send 4 Violet Palace disciple. The peak and late-stage Violet Palace disciple were all Golden Core seedlings of the various sections. They were unwilling to lose them here. There were precedents for this situation. Once a secret realm or a high-grade ancient cultivator's cave residence was discovered, the various powers would send several early-stage and mid-stage Violet Palace disciple cultivators in. The Golden Core cultivators of the various powers would also bring 2 or 3 Violet Palace disciple cultivators. On the Underworld sect side, Wang Daoyuan was familiar with the Hidden Cloud continent and was strong enough. Naturally, he was within the 4 quotas. Apart from him, there was also Luo Hongming, who had just established his Violet Palace disciple, Zhou Qi, and Lu Jinhui. Wang Daoyuan knew all 3 of them. He had interacted with Luo Hongming and Zhou Qi many times. He was also acquainted with Lu Jinhui. Back in the Carriage Gorge, Lu Jinhui was the Golden Goose City's guardian and the deputy commander. The upper echelons of the Underworld sect did not play any tricks this time and sent 3 native cultivators. Furthermore, Wang Daoyuan was close to the native cultivators, so there were no internal conflicts. The Hidden Cloud continent was where the 100 Spirit True Lord had passed away. It was very likely that he had left behind his legacy. To inherit the legacy of an ancient cultivator, one had to have high talent. Therefore, the cultivators sent by the various powers were all quite talented. The next morning, the sun rose over the Heaven/Mountain range and shone on the 100 Rivers Lake. The Golden Core cultivators stayed outside the Heaven/Mountain range and looked at the small patch of clouds in the lake. The clouds of the Hidden Cloud continent covered an area of 100 miles. Everyone was flying in the sky and could see it from thousands of miles away. At this moment, the clouds of the Hidden Cloud continent were gradually thinning under the sun. Chapter 421. Half an hour later, only a thin layer of clouds and mist remained. It could no longer cover the Hidden Cloud peak. Everyone could see the outline of Hidden Cloud continent from thousands of miles away. As the host, Nether Sea Master said, "Now that the clouds of Hidden Cloud continent have mostly dissipated, it is the best time to explore 100 Spirit Immortals Cave. Why don't we let the young geniuses take action? The other golden core cultivators had no objections. Nether Sea Master took out a flying boat and handed it to Wang Daoyuan. Daoyuan, you have been to Hidden Cloud Continent before, take care of Hongming and the others. Wang Daoyuan took the flying boat and cupped his hands. He injected spiritual energy into the flying boat, and it immediately became more than 200 feet long and 6 or 7 feet wide. Everyone boarded the boat, and Wang Daoyuan controlled it to fly towards Hidden Cloud Continent. This flying boat was a third-grade upper grade, and its speed could reach more than 5,000 miles in 2 hours. Half an hour later, everyone arrived above Hidden Cloud Continent. On this day in the past, a large number of chi refining cultivators would come here to pick Hidden Cloud tea. Today, not a single one came, and even the spirit boats that usually came and went were gone. Everyone got off the flying boat and landed beside Hidden Cloud Peak. Lei Wudao and a middle-stage Zifu realm cultivator came from the Cruel Sun Palace. This middle-stage Zifu realm cultivator walked the path of body refinement, and it seemed that he was not to be trifled with. This person asked Wang Daoyuan bluntly, Wang family's kid, I heard that you found Hidden Cloud tea and Uni Tiger here. That place should be unusual, take us there. The others also showed an interested expression. Wang Daoyuan had already expected this, so he didn't say anything and led everyone to the small hill where the Hidden Cloud tea was. Wang Daoyuan pointed at a huge rock and said, the entrance to the cave is between the rock and the mountain. I sealed it 100 years ago. With a wave of his kuei sword, a sword light slashed out, and the entrance to the cave was exposed. Everyone was secretly amazed. To be able to slash out sword light without using a sword, this was a big step on the path of man and sword one. When everyone entered the cave, Wang Daoyuan said, this is where I picked the Hidden Cloud tea. The middle Zifu disciple of the Crescent Sun Palace saw the 2 stalks of cloud hide tea and wanted to take one of them. Just as he was about to make a move, Wang Daoyuan advised, there is not much Hidden Cloud tea left, and it will not survive even if we transplant it elsewhere. It doesn't matter if this Dao Yu wants to pick some tea leaves, but don't make a mistake. There was anger on his face, but he didn't say anything. Then, he walked to the stone wall that had been broken and repaired by Wang Daoyuan. He punched a hole in the wall and walked in. Everyone followed closely behind him. He looked at the tombstone and smashed it with his palm. He laughed and said, the Wang family's brat is really soft-hearted. He obtained the Uni Tiger's corpse when he's only at Qi condensation, and he still hasn't taken it out to sell. The expressions of the 2 female Zifu disciples of the Wind Snow Deity Palace changed slightly, and they glanced at him. This guy also spoke without thinking. He found trouble with Wang Daoyuan and offended 2 female cultivators. Wang Daoyuan smiled and asked the 2,000 Spirit Sect cultivators, how does the 1,000 Spirit Sect deal with this situation? Wang Daoyuan had fought side by side with the 1,000 Spirit Sect, and the 2,000 Spirit Sect cultivators had a good impression of him. They laughed and said, the disciples of the 1,000 Spirit Sect see spirit beasts as brothers. If we decide to adopt a young spirit beast, we will naturally treat its parents well. Daoyu's actions are similar to the usual practice of the 1,000 Spirit Sect. As for people who destroy the tombstone, we usually leave them with their last breath. The Crescent Sun Palace cultivator said disdainfully, you're making a big fuss over nothing. Before Wang Daoyuan could say anything, Kuei Jian couldn't help but say, since coming to the island, you've been mocking and ridiculing Dao Yu. I can't stand it. If you say any more nonsense, I'll chop you alive. The others also looked at him with disgust. He still wanted to flare up, but Lei Wudao saw that the situation was not right and quickly advised, Senior Marshal Brother 2, the overall situation is more important. Cultivator 2 was somewhat dissatisfied, but he didn't say anything. Wang Daoyuan continued, this place is only so big, and it can't hide from Daoyu's divine sense. Since you didn't find anything, don't waste time here. No one had any objections and left the cave the way they came. Dao Yu used the Earth Mountain technique to seal the cave. The group returned to the foot of the hidden cloud peak. Zhou Jingyuan, who represented the Zhou imperial family, asked, Dao Yu, you've been here before. Did you find anything? Wang Daoyuan replied, the last time I came was more than 100 years ago. At that time, I was still a qi refinement cultivator. I was picking hidden cloud tea in the stone cave and didn't go deeper. Daoyu, let's show off our abilities. After saying that, he took out the spirit-seeking compass. This was something he refined when he was looking for the Gui water death flame. It could explore 5,000 feet underground. The rocks here had been soaked in clouds for many years and had the effect of blocking divine sense. Using divine sense to explore, one could only go 100 feet underground. The other cultivators also took out all kinds of magic tools and explored the ground and the hidden cloud peak. To a Zifu disciple, the hidden cloud continent wasn't much of a place. After 2 hours of searching, they had found nothing. A female cultivator from the Wind Snow Deity Palace smiled, Xian Daoyu, your archaic mysteries sect is good at finding spirit veins. This matter depends on you. After saying that, Xian Jiuxiao took out a compass and handed it to a middle-stage Zifu realm cultivator of the Archaic Mysteries sect. He said with a smile, Granduncle prepared a magic tool for me. I think it should be able to find something. Senior Marshal Brother Tian, my cultivation is not enough. I'll leave it to you. This compass should also be a spirit-seeking compass, but it was a high-grade third-level magic tool. It was much stronger than Wang Daoyuan's low-grade second-level magic tool. Cultivator Tian took the compass and poured his divine sense and spiritual power into it. After a few breaths, the compass shone brightly. Strands of golden light seeped into the ground. After half a cup of tea's time, the light returned to the surface and formed a golden shadow above the compass. Xian Jiuxiao looked at the golden shadow and explained, the shadow shows the situation of the entire hidden cloud continent. The deepest part of the continent is 80,000 feet underground. The rocks and soil are shown in gold. The underground cave and rock cracks are shown in black. The fiery red part below is the magma. The purple part is the spirit vein. Wang Daoyuan carefully observed the shadow. He saw that the golden part of the shadow had many black cracks. But at 50,000 feet underground, the golden color was very complete. There were no cracks. Wang Daoyuan, in order to obtain the Gui water death flame, had dug for 10 years. Naturally, he knew that the deeper he went, the more cracks there would be. It was impossible to find a large piece of rock without cracks. Wang Daoyuan pointed at the golden shadow and said, Xian Daoyu, as far as I know, there are many cracks in the underground rock. There is actually a large piece of rock below. There must be something strange. Perhaps there is something underground that is interfering with the compass. Everyone stared at the compass. Xian Jiuxiao nodded and said, what fellow Daoist Wang said makes sense. There are a lot of cracks in the rocks above. It's impossible for the ground below to be intact. There must be some method to interfere with the compass. But there is no way for us to go down 50,000 feet underground. The shadow also doesn't show any passage. Everyone carefully observed the shadow, looking for a possible passage. But they didn't find any that led to 50,000 feet underground. The 100 spirits true monarch couldn't have gone underground, right? Even the Yuanian cultivators couldn't withstand the pressure of 50,000 feet underground. Wang Daoyuan looked at the purple spirit vein. This spirit vein extended from the depths of the earth all the way to Hidden Cloud Peak. He pondered and said, this spirit vein goes straight underground. I wonder if it is a passage. The cultivator surnamed two of the Cruel Sun Palace couldn't hold back and shouted, stop being so wishy-washy. If you suspect there is a problem, just smash it open. We have 20 Zifu disciples. We can flatten this hidden cloud peak in less than the time it takes to brew a cup of tea. This time, no one refuted him. He flew on his sword to the top of the mountain and condensed an enormous fist shadow, smashing down towards the top of the mountain. This fist was powerful and heavy. It shouldn't be a problem for it to smash the top of the mountain. In the end, it only shattered a few rocks on the top of the mountain. The mountain was unharmed. Chapter 422. The rocks of Hidden Cloud Peak weren't made of any special materials. They were all common rocks that contained some spiritual energy. A chi refinement cultivator's attack could shatter some of these rocks. As for the Zifu realm cultivator surnamed Tu, he couldn't even damage the mountain with his full strength. There was no doubt that there was something strange about this mountain. It was very likely that there was a passage hidden inside. Everyone flew to the top of the mountain and carefully examined it to see what was unusual about it. The other cultivators also tested the strength of the mountain and then gave up. The cultivator from the Divine Weapon Pavilion who came with Wang Daoyuan condensed a ball of flame in his hand and began to burn the mountain. Wang Daoyuan used the heaven-burning divine flame technique to help. After dozens of breaths, the mountain was intact. He waved his hand and said, "Junior brother Wang, you don't need to help anymore. I've already determined the situation of this mountain. It's not because of some formation. This mountain has been refined into a magic tool. Moreover, it's at least a high-grade 4th stage magic tool." Everyone sucked in a breath of cold air. They were all successors of large factions and had seen high-grade 4th stage magic tools before. However, no one had seen an entire mountain being refined into a high-grade 4th stage magic tool. Although Hidden Cloud Peak wasn't very tall, it was still a mountain. To be able to refine an entire mountain into a magic tool, what kind of immortal method was this? Kuei Jian cupped his hands and asked, "Dao Yu Lu, do you have a way to go in?" Senior brother Lu shook his head and said, "A 4th stage magic tool with such a large body is not something we can move." Wang Daoyuan smiled and said, "With this 4th stage magic tool here, we can be sure that the 100 Spirits True Lord's cave is here. He can't lift the mountain every time he returns to his cave. There must be an entrance around this mountain. Xian Daoyu, we'll have to rely on you." Xian Jiuxiao didn't say anything and took out another compass. This compass was black and white. It was unknown what material it was made of, but it seemed to be a life-bound magic tool. Zhou Jingyuan looked at the compass and exclaimed, "Yin Yang compass. Xian Daoyu's talent is amazing." The cultivators from the 4 great powers were shocked. Wang Daoyuan and the disciples from the 3 sects of the state of Zhao were dumbfounded. They did not know what the Yin Yang Geo compass was. The Yin Yang compass in Xian Jiuxiao's hand emitted a black and white light that shone on the mountain. After that, Xian Jiuxiao's eyes turned purple as he carefully observed the entire mountain. In the eyes of Wang Daoyuan and the others, the mountain was still the same. A dozen breaths later, Xian Jiuxiao put away the compass and closed his eyes. He was a little unsteady on his feet. He sat down cross-legged and extended a hand to Wang Daoyuan. "Daoyu, give me a jar of spirit peach dew. I've used up too much energy and need to recover." Wang Daoyuan handed him a jar of 80-year-old wine. Xian Jiuxiao swallowed a pill and finished the jar of wine. After half a cup of tea's time, he stood up and said, "Wang Daoyu guessed correctly, the spirit vein inside has indeed been hollowed out and turned into a passageway. The inner walls of the passageway are all 4th-rank high-grade magic tools, and they are refined very carefully. No escape technique can be used. There is an entrance at the foot of the mountain, but I don't know how to open it. Everyone Daoyu, clean up all the soil and gravel here and see if there is anything that can open the entrance." Wang Daoyuan and an Earth Attribute cultivator worked together and used Earth Attribute magic to clean up all the soil, gravel, and vegetation in the vicinity of the mountain. There were exposed rocks everywhere, but they didn't find anything out of the ordinary. Everyone was puzzled. It was soon noon, and the sun shone on the south side of Hidden Cloud Peak. There was nothing strange in the south side of the mountain, but on the rocky ground north of Hidden Cloud Peak, there were tiny grains of sand emitting sunlight. In the end, all the reflected sunlight just happened to gather on a rock north of the mountain, forming a fist-sized bright spot. This was definitely not a natural formation, but someone deliberately made it. There was no need for anyone to say anything. Everyone immediately showed their abilities and attacked the bright spot, but it was useless. Xian Jiuxiao smiled and said, "Everyone Daoyu, don't hide your strength. Use your most powerful magic to attack the bright spot." Everyone used their own magic, and after they were ready, Xian Zhuoxiao shouted, "Release." 20 magic spells hit the bright spot together, and different magic spells hit the bright spot at the same time. Different attributes of spiritual power collided with each other, and there was a burst of explosion. After a few breaths, the whole mountain shook. Everyone immediately retreated, and their faces showed joy. After a while, a black hole of 10 square feet appeared directly under the bright spot. Everyone was still a little confused, and no one dared to go in first. A thick fog poured out of the black hole, which was the same kind of fog that had covered the whole hidden cloud continent before. Wang Daoyuan smiled and said, "What are you waiting for? Are you waiting for the hole to close?" After saying that, he took out the black tortoise shield to protect himself and walked in first. Wang Daoyin also followed closely behind. Senior brother Lu saw his two junior brothers go in and no longer hesitated. Luo Hongming and the others of the Netherworld sect also went in. The others didn't want to be the first to enter, and so they all fought to be the first to enter. After Wang Daoyuan entered the hole, he immediately slid down the jade-like tunnel. The walls of the tunnel were extremely hard and smooth, and he couldn't stop even if he wanted to. He wanted to use his flying sword to stop in midair, but unfortunately, there seemed to be a space ceiling formation here, making it impossible for him to fly. He gave up on struggling, and instead used all of his power to activate the black tortoise shield, sliding down the tunnel. The black hole outside was still pouring out fog, and soon, the entire island was once more covered by fog. Within an underground stone room in the Green Willow region, several Zifu disciples were gathered together. Shi Zhenbang checked the jade talisman in his hand, then sighed and said, "Our decades of hard work have all been for naught." The state of Xing sent a message, saying that the fog of the hidden cloud continent has reappeared. The fog should have only reappeared tonight, but it has already reappeared at noon. They should have already found the entrance to the estate. A young Zifu disciple asked, "Big brother, should we go take a look as well?" Shi Zhenbang shook his head and said, "No matter how many treasures there are in Adept 100 Spirits estate, we need to be alive to take them. If we expose our strength and attract the full force of the three great sects, we'll lose more than we gain." The young Zifu disciple asked again, "Wang Daoyuan really is willing to reveal the location of the estate? If we don't kill him, I won't be able to swallow this anger." Shi Zhenbang shook his head again. "The Wang clan still cares about our relationship, and didn't report our strength to the Netherworld sect. Otherwise, the Jindan cultivators of the Netherworld sect would have come long ago. Let's continue to lie low. Adept 100 Spirits estate isn't ours to begin with. Without them, we wouldn't have been able to get anything." Wang Daoyuan slid down the tunnel for half the time it took to brew a cup of tea, and the tunnel finally became flat. Soon, he slid to a flat area, but the flat area was still extremely smooth, and the force of his fall hadn't been completely dissipated. After sliding forward a bit more, the ground beneath him turned into grass. The fog here was even thicker. Even with his divine sense, he could only see 2 to 3 meters away, and his eyes could only see a few meters away. Wang Daoyuan quickly got up and carefully looked under his feet. There were all kinds of second-tier spiritual plants growing on the grass. He continued to explore forward, and encountered a withered tree along the way. His old habit resurfaced, and he took out the white tiger blade and lightly poked at the withered tree. The withered tree immediately turned to ashes. This was very likely a small medicine garden near the estate, and definitely not as big as the secret realm he destroyed. He didn't dare to poke blindly again, so as not to leave a lifetime of regret like last time in the secret realm. Learning from the previous lesson, the withered tree might be left behind after the death of a high-level spiritual plant, and there might be seeds around it. No matter whether or not he could find the Crimson Yang True Fire, he couldn't give up on these spiritual plant seeds. Divine sense was limited here, and finding seeds was very troublesome. He directly used an earth attribute technique, and lifted up the ground in a radius of 3 meters, and stored it in the space of the spiritual pearl. Chapter 423. In the space of the spirit pearl, the doppelganger took out storage bags and put the pieces of land in them. The grade 2 spirit herbs on the ground couldn't be easily let go either. They could also be high-grade spirit herbs that had degenerated from living in an environment lacking in spirit qi for a long time. Therefore, when Wang Daoyuan saw unfamiliar grade 2 spirit herbs, he also dug up a piece of land. In the fog, he couldn't see how big this place was. In any case, digging up the land was quite simple. He used the earth-splitting technique to separate the land from the ground below and then put the land into the space of the spirit pearl. A piece of land with a diameter of 3 feet and a thickness of 3 feet could be put into the space of the spirit pearl in 4 or 5 breaths. Not long after, Wang Daoyin also slid down. Fortunately, the fog didn't block sound. Wang Daoyin shouted, "Second brother, where are you?" Wang Daoyuan replied, "Brother, hurry over here. There are spirit herbs everywhere. I'll dig up the land and you help me put them in. If we work together, it'll be faster." Wang Daoyin followed the sound and ran over. Wang Daoyuan handed him dozens of storage bags. After that, Wang Daoyuan used the earth-splitting technique when he saw a suitable spirit herb. The matter of collecting the land was left to Wang Daoyin. With the two of them working together, the efficiency more than doubled. The others were afraid of being plotted against by Wang Daoyuan and used spells in the passage to slow down as much as possible. After a quarter of an hour, they arrived at this small herb garden. They looked at the potholes on the ground and didn't know what had happened. The cultivator surnamed Tu of the Cruel Sun Palace shouted, "I say, Brat Wang, you're a rising star with a bit of fame in all of Beiyuan Shouxian. How can you be so useless, plundering a herb garden 3 feet into the ground when you see one?" Wang Daoyuan didn't care about his mockery at all. "My Wang family is a small family and can't compare to you. However, in order to prevent you from saying that I'm scheming against you later, I'll make things clear. How can a peak Yuanian cultivator's spirit herbs be trash? These unremarkable grade 2 spirit herbs could be the degeneration of higher grade spirit herbs. If he brought it out and planted it in a place with abundant spiritual energy, it might be able to advance. Moreover, these spirit plants may be rare species that have already gone extinct in the outside world." As soon as he finished speaking, the cultivators of the Cruel Sun Palace and the myriad spirit sect also began to dig up the ground. This was especially true for that kid with the surname Tuesday. His digging speed was almost on par with Wang Daoyuan's. Wang Daoyuan didn't care at all. The land that he had taken off was about 20 to 30 mu in size. The 4 top forces, plus Zhou dynasty and Qin dynasty, had seen the world, so they did not make a move. However, they were not idle either. Instead, they explored how big this medicinal garden was. After half a cup of tea's time had passed, everyone had more or less explored this small medicinal garden. Wang Daoyuan and his brother also swept through the herb garden. The area of the land that was taken down was about 30 mu. This medicinal garden was about 50 to 60 mu in size, but there were no tier 3 and above spirit plants. There were quite a few dead trees, but it was hard to determine their grade. There were traces of formations on the surrounding stone walls, but it was a pity that the formation patterns had been damaged over time. They even discovered a passageway entrance. Wang Daoyuan was about to head down first, but Cultivator 2 was afraid that he would go down again, so he went down first. Wang Daoyuan also took out his black tortoise shield and followed closely behind. In less than 100 breaths, they arrived at the next level. This was another small medicinal garden. The concentration of spiritual energy here was barely at the level of an inferior grade tier 3 spirit vein, and the fog was even thicker. The range of his spirit consciousness was less than 10 feet and the range of his eyes was less than 2 feet. Wang Daoyuan was not concerned about the fog. His focus was on the spirit plants. This level disappointed Wang Daoyuan. There were not many spirit plants on the ground and they were all materials for refining the purple rhythm elixir. Wang Daoyuan could not let go of these things so easily either. He picked 50 to 60 stalks of purple rhythm dragon ginseng that were over 1,000 years old and could be used to refine 50 to 60 cauldrons of purple rhythm elixirs. With the purple rhythm elixir, his back would be firm when he was living off a woman. He also discovered a tall spiritual tree with a trunk that was more than 300 feet tall. Here, the fog lingered and he could not see what kind of tree it was. He used the white tiger blade to cut the tree into several sections and stored them in the space of the spirit pearl. He also dug out the roots and stored them in the space of the spirit pearl. Beside it, there was a small sapling that was more than a foot tall that was similar to the tree. The sapling had purple leaves and its bark was also purplish-black. Through the thick fog, he could not see it clearly. He simply dug it out and planted it in the space of the spirit pearl. After placing it in the space of the spirit pearl and observing the sapling through his clone, he discovered that it was a purple cloud tree. Unfortunately, there was neither pure yin nor yang qi in this place. Currently, there was pure yin qi in the space of the spirit pearl. However, there was no pure yang qi and it could not form purple qi. If the purple cloud tree could not absorb purple qi, it would not be able to form a purple cloud tree core even if it was nurtured for another 100,000 years. As for the sapling, it was placed in the space of the spirit pearl to be nurtured first. In the future, it would bear seeds and nurture new saplings before being transplanted outside. If he could cultivate a forest of purple cloud trees, the Wang family would have the foundation to become a top force. Wang Daoyuan continued to search, wanting to find more purple cloud trees. Unfortunately, he only found some withered trees that would break with a touch. There were very few spiritual herbs in this medicine garden and most of the spiritual fields were empty. There was no value in excavating the land. The other cultivators also looked down on the immature purple dragon pattern ginseng, so they did not stay here for long. They found a passage that led downwards and went to the next floor. After 100 breaths, everyone arrived at the next floor. The spiritual energy here had reached the level of a high-grade third-level spiritual vein. However, there were no spiritual fields. This place was relatively narrow, it was only a circular space with a diameter of about 10 feet. In the center, there was a high-grade third-level spiritual spring. There was very little spring water gushing out of the spiritual spring, but there was a large amount of fog that had the effect of obscuring spiritual sense. The fog of the hidden cloud continent should have come from here. Next to the spring was a low-grade fourth-level spiritual plant that was more than 10 feet tall and had a crown of more than 10 feet in diameter. The cultivator surnamed Tu of the Cruel Sun Palace rushed over and after a moment of observation, he said in surprise, "This is a low-grade fourth-level hidden cloud tea." Everyone was immediately interested. These days, they had more or less heard about the hidden cloud tea. The hidden cloud tea had the effect of removing pill toxins and increasing spiritual sense. The second-level hidden cloud tea was not of much value to them. But the fourth-level hidden cloud tea was a treasure to Jindan cultivators. The cultivator surnamed Tu reached out to pull it out by the roots, but Wang Daoyuan stopped him. "Wait, Dao, you want to take this hidden cloud tea for yourself, is it not appropriate? I was excavating the land above and invited everyone together. Moreover, this place is the territory of my netherworld sect. Since this underground cave has been discovered, it is my netherworld sect's territory. The Cruel Sun Palace is a guest from afar. If you want to take some tea leaves, it is understandable. But if you want to cut off the roots, it is not justifiable. If you dig out the roots and transplant it to another place, it will not be able to survive. It is simply a waste. In my opinion, we should leave the roots of this hidden cloud tea and divide the tea leaves equally among the 9 of us. What do you think, fellow Taoists?" Originally, the Cruel Sun Palace wanted to take the tea for themselves. But now that it was divided equally, no one would be at a disadvantage. Apart from Lei Wudao and the cultivator surnamed Tu, the others did not have any objections. Everyone plucked the tea leaves and Wang Daoyuan divided them into 9 equal portions. Wang Daoyuan took the opportunity to cut off a few sprouts and put them into the space of the spirit pearl. If the sprouts from a 4th-level spirit plant could survive, as long as there was enough spiritual energy, they could quickly grow into a 4th-level spirit plant. Compared to using a seed to grow into a 4th-level lower-grade spirit plant, the speed was dozens of times faster. Zifu realm cultivators were unable to detect what was taken in and taken out of the spirit pearl. In addition, the mist was extremely dense, so everyone's spiritual sense was greatly restricted. On the other hand, there were 40 to 50 caddies of tea leaves picked from the hidden cloud tea. No one noticed that a few sprouts were missing. The tea leaves were quickly divided and each family received about 5 caddies. Wang Daoyuan placed the tea leaves that belonged to the Netherworld sect into an empty storage pouch and handed it to Luo Hongming. Chapter 424. Luo Hongming didn't take the storage pouch and smiled. Steward Wang, there's no need for that. The Grand Elder has instructed that you're in charge of this trip. Just take it. Wang Daoyuan had no use for it, and it would only make others think about him. Since I'm in charge, then listen to me. Luo Hongming didn't refute and accepted the storage pouch. Wang Daoyuan used the water dragon technique and formed several foot-long water dragons that entered the spring water. He wanted to see if there were any treasures like spirit spring pearls, but he didn't find anything. It seemed that the spirit spring had scattered all its essence into the clouds. Seeing that he didn't find anything, everyone lost interest in the spirit spring. There was nothing on this level apart from the spirit spring and tea trees. There was no point in staying any longer. After finding a passageway that led downwards, everyone left. Dozens of breaths later, they arrived at a stone bridge. There were no clouds here. The stone bridge was more than 100 feet long and 3 feet wide. 2 to 3 feet below the stone bridge was a river of lava. The lava would occasionally bubble and spit out flames. The stone bridge was made of good material. The lava and flames couldn't burn it at all. There was a flight restriction formation here. Those below the golden core stage couldn't fly. If they wanted to cross, they could only cross this stone bridge. Wang Daoyuan looked at the stone bridge and smiled at Cultivator Tuesday. Dao you too, you like to compete. I'll leave this opportunity to you. Cultivator 2 wasn't confident. The other side of the stone bridge should be the core area of True Monarch 100 Spirits abode. A peak Yuanian cultivator's abode even had a 4th grade magic treasure blocking the entrance. Now that they were in the core area, how could there be any lack of formations and restrictions? A Zifu realm cultivator was nothing more than a bug that could be crushed at any time in front of a Yuanian cultivator's methods. Who knew if True Monarch 100 Spirits' killing move was on the other side of the stone bridge? Everyone stared at the 2 cultivators from the Myriad Spirit sect. The Myriad Spirit sect liked to rear spirit beasts and spirit insects. If they couldn't bear to use spirit beasts, they could use spirit insects to scout the way. 1,000 Spirit sect disciples smiled awkwardly and said, although everyone in our 1,000 Spirit sect raises spirit beasts and spirit insects, most of us only raise one kind. Both of us are rearing spirit beasts, not spirit insects. The others did not dare to step forward. Wang Daoyuan did not want to continue wasting time. He released a dozen soul-chasing bees and had them fly along the stone bridge. The 1,000 Spirit sect disciple looked at the soul-chasing bees and asked, where did Wang Daoyu get these soul-chasing bees? Wang Daoyuan pretended to be confused and asked, what's soul-chasing bee? This spirit wasp was obtained by killing a rogue cultivator many years ago when he was traveling in the heavenly/mountain range. I don't know what this thing is called, but since it's quite long, I call it the long-tailed bee. The Myriad Spirit sect disciple said, this spiritual wasp was found by a grand elder of our Myriad Spirit sect more than 200 years ago in the sky beheading mountain range. I'm not afraid of exposing my family's dirty linen. More than 130 years ago, a disciple in charge of raising soul-chasing bees stole a nest of them and escaped. The Qi refinement disciple did not leave behind anything like a soul lamp, so we still don't know if he's dead or alive. The rogue cultivator that Dao Yu killed might be that traitor. I wonder when and where did Dao Yu kill that rogue cultivator? Wang Daoyuan replied, it's too early. At that time, I was still a Qi refinement cultivator. When I was traveling in the Green Willow region, I killed a treasure-snatching cultivator. The 1,000 Spirit sect disciple nodded and said, this matter can be considered to have come to an end. The sect traitor cannot escape death in the end. After we go out, I will report this matter to the Grand Elder of our sect. The decision will be made by the Grand Elder. Wang Daoyuan was not worried about what would happen to the Myriad Spirit sect. With his current status, let alone a Qi refinement cultivator, even if he killed a direct descendant of a golden core cultivator, what could the Myriad Spirit sect do? The Wang family was not a subordinate of the Myriad Spirit sect. More than 100 years ago, the Myriad Spirit sect and the Netherworld sect were still enemies. Wang Daoyuan said that he killed a treasure-snatching cultivator, but the Myriad Spirit sect did not have proof. It was said that the treasure-snatching cultivator was a traitor of the Myriad Spirit sect. Who could be sure that the soul-chasing bees did not change hands halfway? The soul-chasing bees flew forward for more than 100 feet before they were roasted to death by the magma. They did not trigger any array attacks. Wang Daoyuan released a 100-feet-long water dragon, which wrapped more than 10 soul-chasing bees and flew along the stone bridge to the other side. The heat of the magma was extremely strong, but it was unable to quickly roast a 100-feet-long water dragon. The water dragon successfully carried the soul-chasing bees to the other side of the magma river. Everyone also heaved a sigh of relief. At least they did not have to die on the bridge. The Myriad Spirit sect's disciple then released a 3-meter-long white leopard. This leopard was also a third-grade demonic beast. He glanced at Wang Daoyuan. Wang Daoyuan also knew what he meant and used the water dragon to wrap the leopard. The leopard walked to the stone bridge and quickly ran to the other side. This time, everyone no longer had any doubts. There was no danger on the surface of the stone bridge. Everyone cast spells to protect themselves and walked across the stone bridge. Wang Daoyuan continued to release the soul-chasing bees to scout ahead, and the white leopard followed behind. After walking through a narrow passage, they came to a spacious space. There were 4 palace-like buildings here, and there was a cave abode on the stone wall. The 4 palaces were the Refining Hall, the Pellet Hall, the Spirit Beast Hall, and the Treasury. The cave abode was most likely the place where Perfected Lord Hundred Spirits passed away. From the looks of it, Perfected Lord Hundred Spirits might want to establish a sect. However, the outside world did not hear of any forces acknowledging Perfected Lord Hundred Spirits as their ancestor. The only legacy of true Lord Hundred Spirits that was passed down to the outside world was the divine heaven-burning technique. Needless to say, the cave abode was very likely to contain Perfected Lord Hundred Spirits' inheritance. Furthermore, the Scarlet Yang primordial fire was refined by Perfected Lord Hundred Spirits, and it was most likely where he passed away. Seeing the 4 palaces and the cave abode, everyone began to be wary of each other. Wang Daoyuan smiled. Since you don't trust each other, then let's go our own way. His target was naturally the cave abode. He was here for the spiritual fire. The 4 top forces and the Zhou dynasty's imperial family had been passed down for tens of thousands of years. They really did not care much about the cultivation techniques and spells of a Yuanian cultivator. After all, these forces had more advanced inheritances. Although the Qin dynasty was founded less than 10,000 years ago, it was an old noble of the Zhou dynasty a long time ago. Their family also had Yuanian cultivation techniques and above. What they cared more about was the refining and alchemy inheritances left behind by Perfected Lord Hundred Spirits, as well as the precious spiritual herbs and spiritual beasts. Moreover, the restriction array in the cave abode was definitely the strongest and the most difficult to break. It was better to get the treasures in the 4 palaces first before breaking into the cave abode. The ones who really cared about the Yuanian cultivation techniques were the 3 sects of the Zhou dynasty. After all, the 3 sects were established after the various countries fought for hegemony. They had never seen the Yuanian cultivation techniques before. The disciples of the other forces ran to the 4 palaces. The disciples of the 3 sects came to the entrance of the cave abode. Wang Daoyuan released a dozen soul-chasing bees, and they flew toward the entrance of the cave abode. When they were more than 10 feet away from the entrance, a red flame with a hint of gold shot out from the entrance, burning the soul-chasing bees to ashes instantly. The flame was only as thick as a chopstick. Everyone stood more than 10 feet away, but they felt hot all over. In addition to the violent fire attribute spiritual power, the flame also contained extremely rich pure yang qi. It was similar to the legendary scarlet yang primordial fire. Wang Daoyuan was overjoyed. The scarlet yang primordial fire was still there. However, it was troublesome to get in. The power of the flame was comparable to the attack of a golden core cultivator. Luo Hongming and the other two were so scared that their faces turned pale. The cultivation methods they practiced were all evil cultivation methods, and they were of the yin attribute. If the pure yin qi and the pure yang qi were mutually reinforcing and counteracting each other, they would not be afraid of each other. However, the underworld sect was an evil sect that pursued lethality. It was impossible for them to practice the pure yin qi. The yin qi in their spiritual power was also extremely impure. When the impure yin qi met the pure yang qi, it was like meeting the nemesis. The cultivators of the Thousand Spirits sect and the Cruel Sun Palace also looked pale. The restriction array in the cave abode was so strong that the hope of breaking it was extremely slim. Chapter 425. The 2000 Spirit sect cultivators quickly left the cave abode and headed for the Spirit Beast Hall. To them, the cultivation techniques of Yuanian cultivators were important, but treasuring the spirit beasts was even more important. Wang Daoyuan said to Luo Hongming and the other two, "Your cultivation techniques all contain yin qi, so you won't have much resistance against this flame. You won't be of any help if you continue to stay here. Let's go to the 4 palaces to search for treasures, lest the good stuff get snatched away by other factions." The 3 of them had no objections. They also felt uncomfortable staying in this place with dense yang qi. After they left, Lei Wudao and Cultivator 2 of the Cruel Sun Palace were in a dilemma. If they continued to stay here, they might end up empty-handed. If they didn't stay here and Wang Daoyuan broke the defensive formation, they would suffer a great loss if he took all the benefits for himself. Lei Wudao instructed, "Senior brother 2, you continue to stay here. I'll go to the other palaces to search for treasures." Cultivator 2 didn't want to stay here either, but he still nodded and agreed. Only Wang Daoyuan and Cultivator 2 were left in front of the cave abode. Wang Daoyuan asked, "Dao Yu 2, you're a fire attribute cultivator. Do you have any way to deal with this golden flame?" Cultivator 2 asked back, "You're a penta-spirit roots cultivator. Don't you also cultivate fire attribute? Can't you tell if this flame can be dealt with?" Wang Daoyuan laughed disdainfully. "So Dao Yu is planning to watch from the sidelines and pick up the spoils after I break the formation? Then I might as well get rid of Dao Yu first before trying to break the formation." Cultivator 2 didn't want to fight with him now either. "What do you want?" Wang Daoyuan replied, "Your Cruel Sun Palace is a large sect with several golden core cultivators. Furthermore, your fire attribute cultivation techniques are quite advanced. You should have fire control techniques, right? My master has also taught me how to control fire. How about we deal with this spirit fire together? Right now, the others are attacking the defensive formation of the 4 palaces. If they waited until they broke the formation and obtained the things in the palace, then they would come to the cave abode. Then the 2 of us won't be able to get anything. I don't dare to compete with the underworld sect, but do you dare to compete with the 4 top forces and the 2 royal families?" Cultivator 2 thought for a moment before replying, "All right, let's cooperate this once. However, if we get any cultivation methods or spells, we'll each make a copy of it. No one can keep it for themselves." Wang Daoyuan smiled and said, "No problem. I have the 5 elemental cultivation techniques. This fire elemental cultivation technique doesn't have much meaning. At most, I can learn some spells. I released the soul-chasing wasp to lure the array formation to attack. Then, we'll cast spells together to consume this red gold flame." The spirit vein in this place was only of the 3rd grade, and it was impossible for it to support the array formation to continuously launch attacks that were comparable to that of a golden core cultivator. Once the might of these flames drops to the advanced stage of the Violet Palace realm, would we be unable to deal with a formation that isn't controlled by anyone with our strength? The cultivator surnamed 2 nodded and said, "Let's do that." With that said, the two of them began to cast spells to control the flames. Wang Daoyuan condensed a Beifong phantom, while the cultivator surnamed Tu took out a scarlet gourd. After the two of them were ready, Wang Daoyuan released a dozen or so soul-chasing wasp, which flew towards the entrance of the cave. When the soul-chasing wasp was more than 10 feet away from the entrance, a wisp of golden flame appeared once again. Wang Daoyuan controlled the Beifong phantom to fly over and extract the fire elemental spirit qi from this wisp of golden flame. On the other side, the cultivator surnamed Tu also controlled the scarlet gourd to extract the fire elemental spirit qi. No matter how strong this wisp of flame was, it wasn't controlled by anyone. It only knew how to deal with things that approached the cave, and didn't know how to deal with Wang Daoyuan and the cultivator surnamed Tuesday. Wang Daoyuan continuously released the soul-chasing wasp to their deaths, and the flame continued to burn. After the time it took to brew a cup of tea, Wang Daoyuan's Beifong phantom rapidly expanded. Its wingspan was now more than 150 feet. The entire illusory figure of the Beifong had turned completely golden. The cultivator surnamed Tu's scarlet gourd also flickered with a red-gold radiance. The wisp of flame released by the formation was finally reduced to the level of an all-out attack by a late-stage Zifu realm cultivator. This level of attack no longer had the ability to threaten the lives of the two of them. At this moment, Wang Daoyuan felt that the defensive formation of the cave seemed to have a trace of connection with the Beifong phantom. He didn't find it strange. After all, the heaven-burning divine fire technique was created by the 100 Spirits Supreme. In addition, the spirit qi that formed the Beifong phantom all came from the red gold flame. It wasn't impossible for it to have some connection with the formation of the cave. He didn't release the soul-chasing wasp anymore. Instead, he controlled the Beifong phantom to fly within the range of the defensive formation. The formation didn't attack the Beifong phantom. Wang Daoyuan controlled the Beifong phantom to arrive at the entrance of the cave. The moment it touched the door opened automatically. The two of them were surprised. They originally thought that it would take a few hours to exhaust the formation's power. They didn't expect it to succeed so quickly. Wang Daoyuan guessed that the formation didn't attack indiscriminately. Instead, it used spirit qi to determine friend and foe. At first, the Beifong phantom didn't have any connection with the formation. After extracting a large amount of spirit qi from the red gold flame, a connection was formed. He extracted a portion of fire spirit qi from the Beifong phantom and wrapped it around his body to prevent the formation from attacking him. Then, he carefully entered the range of the formation. As expected, the formation didn't attack him. After entering the cave, he didn't retrieve the Beifong phantom. Instead, he compressed it to the size of a few dozen feet and brought it into the cave. Cultivator 2 followed suit. He extracted some spirit qi from the gourd dharma artifact and wrapped it around his body. He also successfully entered the cave. Then, he closed the door of the cave. There was nothing special about the cave of the 100 Spirits Supreme. It was a stone room that occupied half an acre of land. There was only a stone table and a few stone stools. It wasn't as fancy as Zhou Wan's cave. There was another door inside. The two of them were still wrapped in spirit qi extracted from the red gold flame. They weren't afraid of the formation's attack and continued to walk through the second door. The inside of the second door was very spacious. The floor and walls were engraved with formation patterns. There were also 8 white jade pillars that were 1 foot in diameter and 3 feet in height. The pillars were also engraved with complicated formation patterns. The 8 white jade pillars formed a circle. In the middle was a pit that was more than 3 feet in diameter and 3 feet in depth. There was a ball of red gold spirit fire in the pit. It should be the Scarlet Yang primordial fire. The Scarlet Yang primordial fire was only about 5 inches tall and emitted level 3 upper-grade spirit qi waves. Wang Daoyuan was a little excited. He couldn't wait to put the spirit fire into the space of his spirit pearl. However, he couldn't do it with Cultivator 2 here. There was a spirit beast egg floating above the Scarlet Yang primordial fire. This spirit beast egg was the size of a goose egg. The eggshell was white and there were complicated red gold patterns on it. These patterns seemed to contain something profound, but Wang Daoyuan couldn't understand what it meant. The spirit beast egg still contained rich vitality, but it seemed to be in a deep sleep. He used his divine sense to explore below and saw that below the scarlet yang primordial fire was the formation core made of blood fire hibiscus wood. The formation core was directly connected to the magma below to provide the formation with fire attribute spirit chi. This formation was recorded in the 5 elements spiritual master's formation inheritance. It was called the sky-burning divine fire formation. It needed the spirit fire as the core of the formation core. Below the formation core, in addition to the formation patterns of the sky-burning divine fire formation, there were other formation patterns. However, these formation patterns were used to guide spirit chi. It seemed that this should be the spirit chi center of the entire underground space. As long as the formation core made of blood fire hibiscus wood was destroyed, the defensive formations of the 4 palaces would be all broken. The no-fly formation outside should also be difficult to protect. According to the information, the scarlet yang primordial fire of the 100 spirits was condensed with the true life fire of the red-feathered crow. The scarlet yang primordial fire was similar to the red-feathered crow's true life fire, so this egg needed to be nourished by the scarlet yang primordial fire. It was very likely to be the red-feathered crow's egg. There was such rich pure yang qi in the scarlet yang primordial fire. The red-feathered crow's true life fire would only have more yang qi. Chapter 426. The scarlet-feathered crow had the bloodline of the golden crow, and its true life flame was rich in yang qi. It could be seen that this scarlet-feathered crow's bloodline was not low. It might have the chance to become a real golden crow. If that was the case, then the value of this egg would be immeasurable. Even if it could not become a golden crow, its strength would not be low. It might even have the possibility of breaking through to the 5th stage. It could be nurtured as a divine beast. The lifespan of a divine beast was extremely long. It was not impossible to protect a force for tens of thousands of years. This scarlet sun true flame was the core of the formation. It could not be taken away. Otherwise, others would immediately rush over once the formation was broken. At that time, the fact that he had the scarlet sun true flame would be leaked. With the shameless character of the underworld's sex upper echelons, they would definitely force him to hand over the scarlet sun true flame. To get the scarlet sun true flame and not let others know that he had it, he needed Tu's cooperation. Wang Daoyuan was a professional at tricking people. What's more, people who walked the path of body refinement were mostly honest. It was not difficult to trick them. At this time, Tu was looking at the scarlet sun true flame and the scarlet feathered crow's egg. He was almost drooling. Wang Daoyuan smiled. This thing is the core of the entire underground space's formation. Once it's broken, the defensive formation of the 4 palaces will also be broken. The others will quickly loot the palaces and then come here to snatch things from us. It's better to get the 100 spirits true lord's cultivation method and spells first before touching the spirit fire and the spirit beast egg. I won't hide it from you. This spirit beast egg should be the scarlet feathered crow's. The scarlet feathered crow has the bloodline of the golden crow. If this egg hatches, it can become the sex divine beast. If Dao Yu can recognize this egg as its master, his strength will definitely increase greatly. Moreover, the scarlet-feathered crow's true life flame is also very strong. If Dao Yu can have the scarlet-feathered crow as a spirit beast, his potential will far surpass Lei Wudao. It's not impossible to take over the position of partial Sun Palace Master. You also know that I'm not a direct descendant of the Underworld sect. And the Underworld's sex inheritance is the corpse ghost Dao. If I raise a scarlet-feathered crow, not only will my status in the sect not rise, but I will also be suppressed and ostracized. Therefore, I felt that it would be better if Dao Yu took the egg and I took the scarlet yang primordial flame. What do you think, Dao Yu? The cultivator surnamed Tu pondered for a moment before nodding. Alright, let's do that. However, Wang Daoyuan saw a flash of ruthlessness in his eyes. He was probably thinking about how to kill him and take all the treasures for himself. In this world, body tempering cultivators were so scheming. There weren't many honest people like him. There was another door in the innermost part of the stone room where the eye of the formation was placed. Wang Daoyuan pointed at the door and said, "That should be the place where Bai Ling Immortal died. His magic items, cultivation methods, and spells should all be in there." Cultivator 2 nodded his head and the two of them walked towards a door. Arriving at the door, Wang Daoyuan said with a smile, "Dao Yu 2, there might be some danger inside. It's better to be prepared." With that, Wang Daoyuan took out the black tortoise shield and white tiger blade. Cultivator 2 also took out a heavy sword that was 5 feet long and 5 inches wide. It wasn't strange for body tempering cultivators to use such magic items. He placed one hand on the door and gently pushed it open. Wang Daoyuan left the Baifeng's shadow outside and the two of them entered the door together. Inside was a stone room that was more than 10 feet long and 3 feet wide. The layout of the stone room was very simple. There was a stone couch and a stone table. There was a skeleton sitting cross-legged on the couch and a ring on the stone table. On the table beside the ring, there was a line of words, "My cultivation method, inheritance and magic items are all in the ring. Those who are fated can take them. Those who disturb my slumber will die." The skeleton was also wearing a magic item Daoist robe. Nothing could be seen under the robe. Wang Daoyuan immediately snatched the ring and said, "Since Senior 100 Spirits True Monarch doesn't want anyone to touch his remains, it's best that we don't. The trump card left behind by a peak Yuanian cultivator isn't something we can handle. Let's go outside and split the loot." Cultivator 2 nodded. The two of them left the stone room and closed the door. Wang Daoyuan swung the white tiger blade at Cultivator 2's day. Cultivator 2 also swung his sword at him. The two swords collided and a huge force was felt. Although Wang Daoyuan's physical strength wasn't weak, it couldn't be compared to a true body tempering cultivator. He was at a disadvantage in this collision and was pushed back more than 10 feet by the huge force. As a result, it was more advantageous for Wang Daoyuan to increase the distance between the two of them. The two of them cursed at the same time, "Despicable person, you dare to sneak attack me." Both of them realized that their opponent was an expert in killing and robbing, so they stopped talking. Wang Daoyuan directly summoned the Baifeng Phantom and tangled with Cultivator Tuesday. Although the Baifeng Phantom had absorbed a lot of fire-type spiritual energy, Cultivator 2 was a mid-Zifu realm cultivator and wasn't easy to deal with. His gourd especially had a suppressive effect on the Baifeng Phantom. Wang Daoyuan had to summon the white tiger blade to temporarily tie him down. If he wanted to hide the fact that he had obtained the Scarlet Yang primordial fire, he couldn't directly kill him. It was better to refine him into a doppelganger and put on a show. With his hands free, Wang Daoyuan condensed the phantoms of 5 life-bound magic artifacts and combined them into the 5 elements Devil Suppression Seal. The white tiger blade and black tortoise shield also fused into the seal. He recalled the white tiger blade and the pressure on Cultivator 2 decreased. He controlled the fiery red gourd and suppressed the Baifeng Phantom. Then, he swung his sword at Wang Daoyuan. At this moment, the 5 elements Devil Suppression Seal's phantom was almost solid. Under Wang Daoyuan's control, it emitted a strong suppressive force. Cultivator 2 only felt that the spiritual energy in his body couldn't circulate smoothly. When his heavy sword struck the seal, he and his sword were repelled and fell heavily to the ground. The seal only trembled a few times. Wang Daoyuan controlled the 5 elements Devil Suppression Seal and didn't smash it over. Instead, it only pressed down on Cultivator 2's body. Cultivator 2 wanted to struggle but found that he couldn't use most of his spiritual energy and spiritual consciousness. He couldn't use his physical strength either. This was the effect of the suppressive force. Without enough strength or a way to break it, no matter how powerful one's Dharma spells were, they wouldn't be able to use much of their strength. This move was able to deal with late Zifu realm cultivators. Naturally, it wouldn't be a problem to deal with mid-Zifu realm cultivators. If he hadn't held back, Cultivator 2 would have been smashed into meat paste. Cultivator 2 knew that his life was in danger and cursed at Wang Daoyuan. Wang Daoyuan couldn't be bothered with him and slashed at him with the soul-severing saber. There was a chance that the soul-severing saber could injure him. Furthermore, this person was a disciple highly valued by the cruel Sun Palace and definitely had a purple mansion phenomenon. For cultivators with a purple mansion phenomenon, the soul-severing saber might not be able to break through their purple mansion and injure their soul. When the soul-severing saber attacked his sea of consciousness, his purple mansion phenomenon was a giant with an extremely strong physical body. Before the soul-severing saber could touch his purple mansion, the purple mansion phenomenon turned into a giant phantom and blocked the soul-severing saber. Unfortunately, he was suppressed by the 5 elements devil suppression seal and couldn't use much of his spiritual energy and spiritual consciousness. The giant phantom was quickly destroyed and the soul-severing saber slashed at his purple mansion. Cultivator 2's purple mansion was 8 inches in diameter. At this moment, a 3-inch hole was cut open and the power of the soul-severing saber was exhausted. With his purple mansion and phenomenon broken and suppressed by the 5 elements devil suppression seal, there was no way he could defend against spiritual consciousness attacks. Wang Daoyuan immediately condensed the soul-severing saber and attacked his sea of consciousness, slashing at the glabella of his soul. After a soul transformed into a spirit, its strength increased tremendously. The soul-severing saber couldn't disperse the spirit directly and could only shatter the origin of the spirit at the glabella. Cultivator 2 fainted instantly and was on the verge of death. Wang Daoyuan took out a soul-nourishing pendant from his universe ring and fused the split soul within into his glabella. Thereafter, he kept his split soul in the space of the spirit pearl and waited for the fusion to complete. All of Wang Daoyuan's split souls were created when he was at peak foundation establishment. Now that he was using them to control his purple mansion clone, he would need a longer time to fuse them. Chapter 427. After dealing with all this, Wang Daoyuan was also unbearably tired. The 10,000 Corpse Daoist master only knew the foundation establishment part of the doppelganger soul nurturing technique. The latter part was deduced by him and was not perfect. If it weren't for the soul-severing blade, he wouldn't have been able to injure Tu's soul at all. If it weren't for the 5 elements devil suppression seal, he wouldn't have been able to subdue this person without injuring his body. The most important thing was that the cruel Sun Palace was too weak. If it was a sect like the Archaic Mysteries sect, the Golden Core direct disciples would have a spiritual sense secret technique planted in their sea of consciousness. When an external force attacked the sea of consciousness, they would counterattack. When they couldn't resist the external force, they would first destroy the cultivator's soul to prevent the sect's secrets from being leaked. This kind of person couldn't be refined into a doppelganger and might even injure himself. Fortunately, the cruel Sun Palace was just a nouveau riche and didn't have such a clever secret technique. After dealing with Tu, it was time to deal with the spiritual fire. It was definitely not possible to take the spiritual fire now. He needed time to let his split soul control his doppelganger. Then he and his doppelganger would play a show to cover up the truth that 100 Spirit True Monarch's inheritance had fallen into his hands. This spiritual fire was the core of the underground space's array formation. Once the spiritual fire was taken away, the array formation of the 4 palaces would be broken. Therefore, not only could he not take away the spiritual fire, but he also had to increase the power of the spiritual fire to prevent them from breaking the array formation too quickly. Wang Daoyuan controlled the Baifeng Phantom and integrated the fire attribute spiritual power into the Scarlet Yang real fire. After half a cup of tea's time, all the fire attribute spiritual power in the Baifeng Phantom was integrated into the Scarlet Yang real fire. Wang Daoyuan also breathed a sigh of relief. Although maintaining the Baifeng Phantom didn't consume spiritual power, it consumed a lot of spiritual sense. Now that he didn't need to consume spiritual sense, he ate a few black jade lotus seeds and began to recover the power of his spiritual sense. After a quarter of an hour, his spiritual sense had almost recovered. Wang Daoyuan sat cross-legged beside the Scarlet Yang real fire and injected his spiritual power and spiritual sense into the array core below the Scarlet Yang real fire and began to control the array formation. Through this array core, he could perceive the situation of the entire underground space. Even the forbidden space array formation from the hidden cloud continent to the underground space was under the control of this array core. At this moment, Wang Daoyin and brother Lu were attacking the array outside the refining palace. They wanted to obtain the artifact forging inheritance and verify it with the Divine Weapon Pavilion's artifact forging inheritance. If they were lucky, they might even be able to obtain some artifacts. It could also prevent the brilliant refining techniques from falling into the hands of other forces and affecting their own businesses. 2 disciples of the Myriad Spirit sect were eyeing the Spirit Beast Hall. The others gathered at the entrance of the treasury. Xian Zhouxiao took out his yin-yang compass and probed the defensive array formation of the treasury. There was no one at the entrance of the pellet hall for the time being. This was because the medicinal pills could not be stored for a long time. Even if the Yuanian cultivators were skilled, they would not be able to store the medicinal pills for 20,000 years. Even if there were pills in the pellet hall, they could no longer be consumed. Even if he spent a lot of effort to break through the pellet hall's defensive formation, he would only be able to obtain the alchemy inheritance. It would be more reliable to attack the pellet hall after obtaining the benefits from the treasury. There was no need to care about the 2 disciples of the Myriad Spirit sect. They did not have the ability to break through the array of the Spirit Beast Hall. As for Lin Yun and senior brother Lu's clones, he could go easy on them. As for the treasury, Xian Zhouxiao's threat was too great. The Celestial Arcanum sect had a brilliant array Dao inheritance, not to mention that the yin-yang compass in his hand was brilliant. It was easy for him to detect the weakness of the array formation. If there was no one controlling the array formation, it would not be able to last long in his hands. Thus, Wang Daoyuan had to give him some help. He could not directly control the array formation to resist since it would expose him. As long as he changed the flow of the array formation's spiritual energy when he used the yin-yang compass to search for the array formation's weakness, it would be fine. After a few hours, Xian Zhouxiao's clones would be done and he could start acting. Black and white light appeared on Xian Zhouxiao's yin-yang compass as it searched for the array formation's weakness. Wang Daoyuan used the core of the array to change the trajectory of the array formation's weakness and played hide and seek with the black and white light. After 6 to 8 hours, Xian Zhouxiao could no longer take it. Putting away the yin-yang compass, he took out a pill and sat on the spot to recover. When the others saw that they could not find the array's weakness, they began to use force. Wang Daoyuan began to transfer spiritual energy from the other 3 halls and the cave abode to strengthen the defensive light shield of the treasury. If a cultivator wanted to break an array formation of the same level, it would take at least 2 to 3 days. After another 6 to 6 hours, the clones in the space of the spirit pearl finally finished fusing. Wang Daoyuan used the clones to peek into the memories of the clones. This person was called Tu Yuming, and his master was the Grand Elder of the Cruel Sun Palace, Daoist Master Qi Yuan. Daoist Master Qi Yuan was about the same age as Daoist Master Ming Hai of the Underworld sect. They were both over 900 years old and had passed away in the past 20 to 30 years. This time, the Jindan stage elder of the Cruel Sun Palace was Daoist Master Qi Yuan. However, Tu Yuming was not too highly regarded and was not nurtured as a Jindan stage seedling. He was already close to 300 years old and was still a Zifu intermediate stage cultivator. Tu Yuming still had the life-saving magic item that Daoist Master Qi Yuan gave him, the red primordial divine fire bead. This item was a one-time use magic item and was a bit like the third fire lightning bead. Tu Yuming's red primordial divine fire bead was comparable to the full power attack of a peak Zifu realm cultivator. This item could be used for acting. If the distance was controlled well, he could use the 5 elements demon suppression seal and a few grade 3 magic items to take it head-on. Of course, he would inevitably be seriously injured. It was unrealistic to not be injured at all when acting. However, before that, he had to be prepared to be interrogated after doing a good deed. He had 2 universe rings on him. One was snatched from Chen Ji and the other was just obtained. These things could not be left outside and had to be kept in the space of the spirit pearl. Of course, he had to bring some good stuff with him. He took out a few golden lightning demon destruction talismans, a few magic items, some pills, formation plates, and a small group of soul-chasing bees from the space of the spirit pearl. He also took out half of the land that he had taken from the small herb garden and brought it with him. Before that, he had to help his brother break the array formation of the weapon forging hall. Xian Jiuxiao had given up on finding the weakness of the array formation over at the treasure vault, and everyone was attacking the defensive light barrier. Wang Daoyuan transferred 80% of the spiritual power in the array formation of the weapon forging hall to the treasure vault. Wang Daoyin and senior brother Lu were attacking the array formation. A purple thunder divine fire shot out and directly shattered the defensive light barrier. When the array formation was forcibly broken, the other cultivators also noticed the commotion. Wang Daoyin and senior brother Lu immediately ran into the weapon forging hall and began to loot. Wang Daoyuan closed all the restrictions in the weapon forging hall to provide them with convenience. When the cultivators attacking the treasure vault reacted and ran to the weapon forging hall, the two of them had already taken the weapon forging inheritance. The others could not snatch anything from them. They could only snatch some magic items. While everyone's attention was not on the array formation, Wang Daoyuan took the egg of the red-feathered crow from the core of the array formation and put it into the space of the spirit pearl. Then, he took out the vermilion bird fan that he had refined in the divine weapon pavilion as an experiment. With all his strength, the red yang primordial fire quickly left the array formation and fell on the vermilion bird fan. He quickly put the vermilion bird fan back into the space of the spirit pearl. The red yang primordial fire also followed the vermilion bird fan into the space of the spirit pearl. At this time, the red yang primordial fire was 3rd level upper grade. After entering the space of the spirit pearl, it quickly fell on the fire spiritual vein south of the dust returning flame. Just as it was about to show its power, the other 3 spiritual fires suppressed it. It was not like the Gui water death flame, which disturbed the entire space of the spirit pearl. The egg of the red-feathered crow was also placed next to the red yang primordial fire and continued to be nourished. At this time, the array formation of the entire underground space was broken and the show was about to start. Chapter 428. Wang Daoyuan released Tu Yuming, and the two fought for a few moves, leaving some traces of fighting in the cave. Then, Wang Daoyuan used the 5 elements devil suppression seal, and Tu Yuming fled to the outermost stone room of the cave. Wang Daoyuan chased to the second door, and Tu Yuming turned around and threw out the red essence god fire bead, then fled out of the cave. Wang Daoyuan threw out the glazed flame black iron shield he snatched from Qinji, and smashed it forward with the 5 elements devil suppression seal. He used the cloud mist escape and fled to the back. The red essence god fire bead exploded at the second door, and a crimson flame surged out. The glazed flame black iron shield was like a piece of paper, instantly turning into ashes. The 5 elements devil suppression seal was also scattered, and the black tortoise shield and white tiger blade were heavily damaged. Wang Daoyuan was sent flying by the aftermath of the red essence god fire bead's explosion, and his internal organs were injured. Coupled with the damage to his natal magic artifact, he would need at least a month or 2 to recover. The array core in the second stone room was also burned to ashes by the flames, leaving no evidence behind. He did not have much spirit energy left, but he still insisted on using a rejuvenation technique on himself. Then, he took out a jar of spirit peach dew and drank it. Without the obstruction of the array, the others immediately heard the sound. As everyone rushed to the cave, they saw Tu Yoming's fleeing figure. Xian Jiuxiao and Kuei's sword were the first to arrive, and Wang Daoyuan immediately picked up the black tortoise shield and white tiger blade, ready to attack at any time. Xian Jiuxiao smiled and said, "Fellow Daoist Wang, you don't have to be like this. In any case, we've gone through thick and thin together. Fellow Daoist Kuei Jian is an honest person. How can you take advantage of others when they're in trouble?" Wang Daoyin also rushed over quickly, and Wang Daoyuan put away the black tortoise shield and white tiger blade. At this time, his brothers were still the most reliable. At this time, Xian Jiuxiao asked, "Dao Yu, what happened here?" Wang Daoyuan said with a bitter smile, that kid's surname too is really a good-for-nothing. We agreed to share the inheritance of 100 Spirit True Lord equally, but he wanted to take it all. When he fought with me, he was at a disadvantage, so he fled. When I chased after him, he turned around and threw a scarlet bead, which emitted flames that filled the sky. I resisted with all my might, but I was still injured. Even my intrinsic dermic artifact was damaged. At this time, a clamor came from outside. Xian Zhouxiao turned around and ran out. The others also seemed to have thought of something and ran out together. Wang Daoyin saw that his face was pale, his breathing was unstable, and there was blood at the corner of his mouth. He had obviously suffered internal injuries. She took out a healing pill and handed it to him. Second brother, this is the sweet rain jade dew pill that master prepared for me. Quickly take it. The sweet rain jade dew pill was a relatively rare healing pill. It had miraculous effects on cultivators below the golden core stage. Wang Daoyuan coughed twice and took the pill. After consuming one of the pills and refining it slightly, Zhang Xian felt that his injuries had healed significantly. This medicinal pill was indeed brilliant. In just half the time it took to brew a cup of tea, he had finished refining it and his injuries had recovered by more than half. As for the rest of his injuries, he would not be able to recover quickly even if he took medicine. He would need to recuperate slowly. At this time, Tu Yoming's clone had already fled to the ground. After leaving the cave, he headed straight to the east. Those golden core stage cultivators outside the Heaven/Mountain range were thousands of miles away from the hidden cloud continent, so they couldn't see the situation on the island. Tu Yuming flew to the east of the 100 River Lake and crossed the canyon. He casually killed a second-grade demonic beast and hid in the cave. He also carried a spirit restriction silk cloak with him. As long as he wore the cloak, it would be difficult for others to find him. Wang Daoyuan also brought his younger brother out of the cave and scanned the 4 halls with his spiritual sense. The treasury and the spiritual beast hall had already been plundered clean. Everyone was now looting the pellet hall. The pellet hall probably only had some alchemy inheritances and some tools needed to refine pills. Now, there couldn't be anything left. Not long after, everyone came out of the pellet hall and came to the entrance of the cave. Lei Wudao looked at Wang Daoyuan and asked, Daoist Wang, may I ask where my senior brother too is? Wang Daoyuan raged, that son of a bitch took the 100 Spirit True Lord's inheritance for himself and escaped. He even used a scarlet pearl to injure me. If I catch him, I'll definitely chop him into pieces. Lei Wudao's face was filled with disbelief as he continued to question, that's just your side of the story. It's not worth believing. At this moment, Kuei Jian couldn't stand it anymore and raged, I saw that two guy escape with my own eyes. If he's not guilty, why would he run? I can't stand your cruel Sun Palace's character. Back then, you guys fought with so many people. You couldn't even defeat Daoist Yuchuan in a head-on battle and bullied his juniors. That two brat mocked and ridiculed us before, and now you're being sarcastic. If it was me, I would have killed everyone from your cruel Sun Palace. Don't say that you're a sword cultivator in the future. Even I feel embarrassed. Lei Wudao didn't dare to say anything to Kuei Jian. Xian Zhouxiao also came out to smooth things over. I did see Dao Yu escape earlier, and Dao Yu's injuries weren't light. There are also traces of a battle in the cave, and it doesn't conflict with what Dao Yu said. If you don't believe me, you can go in and take a look. Everyone was curious about Senior Yuanying's cave, so they all went in one after another. Seeing the burn marks left behind by the scarlet primordial spirit fire pearl, most of them believed Wang Daoyuan's words. The two myriad spirit sect cultivators and Lu Jinhui even went to the third stone room to take a look. However, they didn't dare to touch the remains of the 100 Spirit True Lord. Everything that could be taken away had been taken away, so there was no point in staying here. Everyone left the underground cave and returned to the hidden cloud continent. Lei Wudao went to the Green Willow continent and asked everyone on the island, did you see anyone leave the hidden cloud continent? If you dare to hide it from me, I won't leave you alive. A Foundation Establishment stage cultivator flew into the air on his sword and cupped his hands towards Lei Wudao. Senior, before you, there was a fiery light that flew out of the hidden cloud continent and headed towards the east. The Green Willow continent was only a few hundred miles away from the hidden cloud continent, so it wasn't possible to see clearly from this distance. However, when Tu Yuming escaped, he didn't hide. When he flew on the sword, the fire attribute spirit energy released light, so Foundation Establishment cultivators could still see it. This Foundation Establishment peak stage cultivator was Shi Xinghua, the leader of the Green Willow continent. Wang Daoyuan also flew on the flying boat and said coldly, Lei Wudao, what do you have to say now? Lei Wudao was speechless for a long time, and in a fit of anger, he slashed at the defensive formation of the Green Willow continent. The defensive formation of the Green Willow continent was very advanced, and the defensive barrier only trembled slightly. The three sects of Zhao all knew that the Green Willow continent was a remnant of the Zhao clan. Now that Lei Wudao attacked, Luo Hongming and the other two wanted to use this chance to deal a heavy blow to the Green Willow continent. Shi Xinghua was so scared that he broke out in cold sweat. If they attacked the Green Willow continent, then his hidden Zifu realm cultivator would have to act. When he saw the five-colored phoenix pattern on Zhou Jingyuan's robe, he immediately cupped his hands. Your Highness, I am a descendant of the River Yangshi clan, a branch of the Zhou clan. Your Highness, please save the cultivators of the Green Willow continent for the sake of our clan. As a direct descendant of the Zhou clan, Zhou Jingyuan naturally couldn't just stand by and watch. He cupped his hands to the cultivators of the three sects of Zhao and said, I don't care about the affairs of Zhao, but the River Yangshi clan is indeed a branch of the Zhou clan. Now that my clansmen are asking me for help, I can't just ignore them. I hope the three sects can give me some face and let them off this time. Everyone knew Zhou Jingyuan's identity. He was the strongest contender for the crown prince of Zhou and the young master of the Zhou clan. Killing a branch of the Zhou clan in front of him was the same as slapping him in the face. Zhou Qi was a shrewd person and immediately returned the salute. Your Highness is too serious. Since your Highness is here, we naturally won't do anything to the Zhou clan. He represented the underworld sect and accepted Zhou Jingyuan's request. He gave Zhou Jingyuan a good impression and received a small favor from Zhou Jingyuan. The other two sects could only agree. If they continued to fight, Zhou Jingyuan would be killed. Shi Xinghua also bowed to Zhou Jingyuan, thanking him for helping them out. Now that the matter was settled, Wang Daoyuan steered the flying boat and led everyone to the west. Chapter 429. An hour later, the flying boat left the Skysplit mountain range and arrived before the group of Golden Core cultivators. Daoist Scarlet Origin glanced at the 19 Zifu disciples and asked, Where's my disciple, Tu Yuming? Lei Wudao couldn't answer. Once he did, it would be tantamount to admitting that Tu Yuming had stolen Daoist Hundred Spirits' legacy. Wang Daoyuan replied, Dao Yu and I entered Daoist Hundred Spirits' resting place and obtained Daoist Hundred Spirits' techniques and legacies. Originally, we agreed to split the good stuff between the two of us. We also copied the techniques and legacies. However, Dao Yu wanted to take it all for himself and used a flaming pearl to injure me before fleeing with the legacy. Hearing this, Daoist Thunderflame and Daoist Nethersea glared at Daoist Scarlet Origin. Daoist Scarlet Origin naturally didn't dare to admit this. He retorted, You shameless brat, do you have any proof that my disciple stole the legacy? Wang Daoyuan replied, Dao Yu and the others who went with us can testify. Zhou Jingyuan had always liked to speak up for justice. He said, Dao Yu is right. When we heard the explosion, we rushed to the cave residence. Dao Yu just happened to be fleeing outside. Dao Yu was heavily injured and even his life-bound magic artifact was severely damaged. There were many traces of battle in the cave residence, some of which were left behind by fire-type magics. Its power was comparable to a peak Zifu disciple's full power attack. Xian Jiuxiao and Kuei Jian both nodded in agreement. Daoist Nethersea said angrily, Old Ghost Scarlet Origin, the pearl Daoyuan mentioned should be your Scarlet Origin Divine Fire Pearl, right? What else do you have to say? Daoist Thunderflame asked coldly, Dao Yu, your disciple attacked and injured my disciple. How should we deal with this? Daoist Scarlet Origin broke out in cold sweat. It didn't matter if he offended the underworld sect. However, if he offended Daoist Thunderflame, the sect would suffer a great loss if he was stopped by Daoist Thunderflame. He didn't dare to be tough and cupped his hands. Thunderflame Dao Yu, I don't know where my disciple ran off to. I've already sent him a message. When he returns and understands the situation, I'll compensate him. Daoist Nethersea continued, Daoist Scarlet Origin, what about my sect's losses? Scarlet Origin laughed, Dao Yu have to wait for my disciple's return. At most, we can wait for him to return and ask the underworld sect to make a copy of True Monarch 100 Spirits Inheritance. The Dark Sea Master nodded in satisfaction and said, since this matter has been settled, let's go back to Clear Glass City to discuss other matters. Staying here will make us look like a joke. Everyone returned to the Clear Glass Market and came to the meeting hall of the Netherworld Sect Station. Daoist, Daoist, Daoist Origin, Daoist, Daoist, and Origin. Daoist, Daoist, and Origin. Daoist, Daoist Lord. The Golden Core cultivators present fell into deep thought when they heard that True Lord 100 Spirits had refined the entire Hidden Cloud Peak into a magic tool. Low-level cultivators only knew that using a mountain to refine a magic tool was very difficult, but they did not know how difficult it was. These late Aurus Core stage cultivators were already close to the Yuanine realm. Only then did they realize how big the gap was between them and Adept 100 Spirits. Yulong Jinren of the Thousand Spirits sect asked Wang Daoyuan, where did little friend Wang's soul-chasing bees come from? Thus, Wang Daoyuan repeated what he had said earlier to him. Yulong Jinren nodded and said, since you got it from a rogue cultivator, I can't say anything. This matter is over. A nest of soul-chasing bees was not a big deal. If Wang Daoyuan were to fall out with Daoist Lei Yan, it would be equivalent to not giving Daoist Lei Yan any face. For the sake of the soul-chasing bees, it would affect the relationship between the Thousand Spirits sect and the Divine Weapon Pavilion. That would not be worth it. Dao Yuan, what did you and Tu Yuming find at the place where Reverend 100 Spirits passed away? Asked Nether Sea Master. If it were only cultivation methods and spells, that kid wouldn't have been afraid to come back. Wang Daoyuan answered, in the third stone room of Reverend 100 Spirits' abode, there was only a Qian Kuan ring other than the corpse of Reverend 100 Spirits. This Qian Kuan ring was taken by Dao Yu, so I can't say what's in it. Originally, I wanted to get the second stone room and divide the things in it. But when I got out of the third stone room, Dao Yu wanted to take the inheritance for himself. From the beginning to the end, I didn't touch the Qian Kuan ring, so I can't be sure what's in it. Other than the ring, is there anything else? Immortal Qi Yuan asked. I heard them say that the formation outside the abode can release golden flames. After you and Tu Yuming fought, the entire underground formation was destroyed. The core formation I should be in the abode. What kind of formation is it? Wang Daoyuan answered, there is indeed a formation in the second stone room. There are 8 white jade pillars surrounding a core formation eye in the middle. I've never seen this formation before, so I don't know what kind of formation it is. On the core formation eye, there is a golden red bead with dense fire attribute spiritual power. I didn't see what kind of magic tool it was, but I know that it's the core formation eye's suppression item. At that time, we were in a hurry to get Reverend 100 Spirits' inheritance, so we didn't move it. After that, we fell out with Dao Yu, and this item was taken away by him. Other than the corpse of Reverend 100 Spirits, there's nothing else in the abode. The Archaic Arcanum sect was proficient in formations. When Daoist Xiao Tian heard this, he immediately determined what kind of formation it was. He stroked his beard and said, that formation should be the heaven-burning divine flame formation. It's just that the core formation eye of the heaven-burning divine flame formation needs spiritual fire to suppress the formation. Reverend 100 Spirits had the Scarlet Yang True Fire, so the golden red flame should be from the Scarlet Yang True Fire. This golden red bead can be used to suppress the formation, so it should be related to the Scarlet Yang True Fire. The scarlet yang true fire's flame seed is very likely to be hidden in the bead. In this way, the kid with the surname Tu wanted to take the spiritual fire for himself. If he came back, the spiritual fire might not fall into his hands. Now that he has Yuaning's inheritance and the spiritual fire, it shouldn't be a big problem for him to cultivate to the golden core stage. It's reasonable that he didn't come back. Daoist Master Qi Yuan was unhappy and immediately retorted, "This is just Wang's little friend's side of the story. Maybe the golden red bead is on him." Hearing this, the other golden core stage cultivators also had some doubts. Only Wang Daoyuan and Tu Yuming knew about this golden red bead. The others didn't see it, so it wasn't impossible for Wang Daoyuan to keep it for himself. Naturally, Daoist Master Lei Yan had to back up his disciple. He slammed the table and shouted angrily, "Dao Yu Qi Yuan, you must have evidence to back up your words." Wang Daoyuan immediately persuaded, "Master, don't be so angry. Since Daoist Master Qi Yuan doesn't believe me, then just search. I was with Dao Yu all the way and didn't have the chance to hide anything. If I took it, it would still be on me. But senior, what if you can't find it?" Daoist Master Qi Yuan snorted coldly and said, "I'll pay double for the loss of my disciple injuring you." Wang Daoyuan had long expected this to happen. He had already made his preparations. Letting him search the place once, he could still get rid of suspicion. Otherwise, he wouldn't have peace in the future with so many big forces eyeing him. He took out dozens of storage bags hidden in his Daoist robe and put them on the table. He cupped his hands and said, "Here are all my storage bags. Please check them." Everyone opened the storage bags one by one. Apart from land, there were spirit wine, all kinds of food, magic tools, talismans, and other things. Wang Daoyuan cupped his hands and said, "What do you think, senior?" Daoist Master Qi Yuan didn't give up. According to them, you and little friend Wang Daoyin were alone for a while. You are brothers, so it's not impossible for you to leave your things with him. Wang Daoyin also put his storage bag on the table for everyone to check. Naturally, they didn't find anything. Daoist Master Lei Yan angrily said, "Dao Yu Qi Yuan, why don't you check my interspatial ring?" Daoist Master Qi Yuan knew he was in the wrong and didn't dare to continue being stubborn. He took out 2 medicine bottles from his storage bag and apologized, "I'm sorry for offending you this time. Here are 10 third-grade upper-grade rain dew pills as compensation." Chapter 430. Wang Daoyuan took the bottle and didn't pursue the matter. Since he had achieved his goal, there was no point in being entangled. After a body search, there was nothing suspicious on him, which dispelled everyone's suspicions about him. Since the matter had been resolved, there was no need for them to continue staying. The cultivators of the Myriad Spirit sect and the Savage Sun Palace were reluctant to leave. They wanted to see if Tu Yuming would return. As for the 6 factions outside of Zhao, they had no interest in staying. The Zhou and Qin families left first, and the cultivators of Qin rarely appeared in Zhao. As a first-rate superpower, Qin was too low-key. The 2 members of the Qin royal family who entered Perfected Lord Bai Ling's cave didn't say a word from beginning to end. They didn't snatch things first, nor did they fall behind. With such a low-key and pragmatic style, it was no wonder that Qin could grow into a first-rate superpower. After the Zhou and Qin families left, 3 of the 4 top factions also left. After Wang Daoyin returned to Jade Spring Peak to pay his respects to his parents and brother, he also left Qingli City with Lei Yan Daoist. Nether Sea Daoist summoned Wang Daoyuan, Luo Hongming, and the others to ask about their gains. Wang Daoyuan replied, "I'm incompetent. Although I entered Perfected Lord Bai Ling's place of death, the inheritance was taken away. I didn't gain anything other than the land I took." Nether Sea Daoist waved his hand and said, "Daoyuan, you don't have to be like this. Although the quality isn't high, some of them are extremely rare in the outside world. Besides, you also protected the 4th grade lower grade hidden cloud tea tree for the sect, so your contribution is not small." In the end, we couldn't protect perfected Lord Bai Ling's inheritance because Tu Yuming had the scarlet primordial spirit fire pearl. You're only at the early stage of the Violet Palace realm, so it's normal that you can't block it. You've also contributed a lot, so I'll reward you with 500,000 contribution points. Wang Daoyuan bowed and said, "Thank you, Grand Elder." Luo Hongming, Zhou Qi, and Lu Jinhui started attacking the treasury. After Wang Daoyuan helped his younger brother break the formation of the refining hall, Lu Jinhui went over to snatch some magic tools. Luo Hongming and Zhou Qi, on the other hand, rushed into the treasury after all the formations were broken and grabbed a lot of treasures. Thereafter, the three of them entered the pellet hall and snatched some incomplete alchemy inheritances. The contribution points that the three of them received ranged from hundreds of thousands to millions. After giving out the rewards, Wang Daoyuan returned to Jade Spring Peak and checked his actual gains in his cave. Wang Daoyuan also had his doppelganger Li Qingchuan claim ownership of the ring left behind by true monarch 100 spirits. This ring was called the 100 Spirits Ring. It was a high-grade spatial treasure. The space inside was very large, about 500 square meters. Moreover, this ring was like a spirit beast pouch that could store spirit beasts. There was nothing special inside, only 2 beast skin books. One of them was the main cultivation technique of true Lord 100 Spirits, called the Heavenly Fire Soul Refining Technique. This was a fire attribute yuanying technique. It was useless to Wang Daoyuan now, but it might be useful in the future. Although the 5-spirit immortal art left behind by the 5 elements Daoist was brilliant, it only had the method to form yuanying. There was no yuanying cultivation technique, but this cultivation technique was very suitable for Wang Daoyuan. He didn't plan to change his cultivation technique halfway through. Therefore, if he could form yuanying in the future, he would have to deduce the 5-spirit immortal art for the yuanying stage. The Heavenly Fire Soul Refining Technique could be used as a reference. When he reached the Golden Core stage, he could try to simplify the Heavenly Fire Soul Refining Technique into a Golden Core or even a Violet Palace Realm cultivation technique. There were still some fire attribute cultivators in the Wang clan. For example, his third brother, Wang Daochang, was a fire attribute cultivator. The other beast skin book was called the Fire Controlling Record. It recorded true Monarch 100 Spirits experience in controlling fire, including the complete heaven-burning divine flame art. Wang Daoyuan already had 4 spiritual flames, so this thing was extremely valuable to him. Furthermore, if he wanted to modify the vermilion bird fan in the future, he could refer to the fire controlling record. It was a pity that true Monarch 100 Spirits pill tools and beast taming inheritance weren't in the ring. They were probably placed in the 4 palaces. That wasn't all. The most important thing was the Scarlet Yang Primordial Flame and the Scarlet Crow Egg. After the Scarlet Yang Primordial Flame merged with the Fire Spiritual Vein, the 5 spiritual veins in the Spiritual Pearl had also improved. Even the smallest metal spiritual vein was already a foot long and had reached the first level of medium-grade spiritual vein. The other 4 spiritual veins that had merged with spiritual flames were now 2 feet long and had reached high-grade Tier 1. Wang Daoyuan had a premonition that if he could find all 5 elemental spiritual flames, these 5 spiritual veins would definitely undergo a qualitative change. Currently, these 5 spiritual veins were better than nothing. They didn't have much of an effect on the concentration of spiritual qi in the space. As for the Scarlet Crow Egg, it seemed to have some spirituality. It ran to the Scarlet Yang Primordial Flame and floated above it. Wang Daoyuan also took the time to recognize it as its master. Although this thing was rich in vitality, it had been there for more than 20,000 years. It was hard to say when it would hatch. Since the flow of time in the spiritual pearl was fast, it didn't matter if it took a long time. The spiritual herbs harvested from this trip were also very valuable. The purple cloud tree was casually planted in the reserved spiritual fields around the life spiritual fire. It wasn't very close to the life spiritual fire. The purple cloud tree didn't have high requirements for its living environment. As long as there was enough spiritual qi, it could grow normally. Wang Daoyuan had obtained a purple cloud tree sapling and a purple cloud tree stump. Both of them had survived. However, it would be very troublesome to let it absorb the purple chi and form a purple cloud tree heart. The environment where the top forces planted the purple cloud tree was also very harsh. If the environment wasn't good enough, it wouldn't affect the growth of the purple cloud tree, but it would severely affect the speed of forming the purple cloud tree heart. The formation of the purple cloud tree heart mainly depended on how much purple chi it absorbed. If it couldn't absorb the purple chi, it would have lived 100,000 years in vain. With abundant purple chi, it would take less time to form the purple cloud tree heart. There was already pure yin chi and pure yang chi in the spiritual pearl. However, there wasn't much of either, and it wasn't enough to form the purple chi. A few hidden cloud tea sprouts were planted beside the life spiritual fire and had already grown. After all, they were plucked from a stage 4 spiritual herb and had rich spiritual chi. They were now stage 3 spiritual herbs. As long as they grew a little, Wang Daoyuan would be able to drink stage 3 hidden cloud tea. The 50 to 60 purple dragon pattern ginseng he obtained from the second level of the herb garden were also quite valuable. They could be used to refine more than 50 cauldrons of elixirs. With Wang Daoyuan's 30% success rate, he could refine more than 150 purple cloud elixirs. The matter of refining elixirs had to be arranged later. The most important thing now was to condense the 4th spirit power seed. Every time the 5-spirit immortal transformation technique condensed a spirit power seed, his cultivation speed would increase by a lot. Wang Daoyuan currently had 3 spirit power seeds. Without taking elixirs, his cultivation speed could be comparable to that of a 3 spiritual root cultivator with a 5-inch main spiritual root. After condensing 4 spirit power seeds, his cultivation speed should be comparable to that of a 3 spiritual root cultivator with a 6-inch main spiritual root. After condensing 5 spirit power seeds, his cultivation speed would skyrocket. At that time, his cultivation speed should be comparable to that of a 2 spiritual root cultivator with an 8-inch main spiritual root. It would be slightly worse than that of the 12th uncle but better than that of the 3rd brother. As for the effects after refining the spiritual fire, it was hard to say. Back then, the 5 elements venerable only refined 1 dust-returning flame and was able to cultivate from the early stage golden core realm to the peak golden core realm in less than 200 years. It was hard to say how fast his cultivation speed would be after refining the 5 elements spiritual fire. However, his cultivation speed wouldn't be slower than refining a type of spiritual fire. As for the turf that was peeled off, his clone was still slowly picking out the spirit plants among them. There was no need to keep some of the spirit plants that he already had. The spirit plants that were not in the space of the spiritual pearl were seeds. Wang Daoyuan didn't need many stage 2 spirit plants anymore. You're tuning into the Biyao's Wuxia Chronicles YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories.